Okay, my name is Frank Thornton, aka FG, Cross Atlantic Piru.
Cross Atlantic. Okay.
Cross Atlantic.
Now, right now, your name is trending for some crazy stuff that we'll get into. But your name is trending for something that happened 20-something years ago.
No doubt.
And you've pretty much been quiet for all these years. I mean, you did almost 10 years.
Right.
And then you did another 5 on probation. And so why have you been so quiet these last few years based on why your name's going viral?
Well, you know, the thing about it is, you know what I mean, I'm from the streets, you know what I mean? And, you know, we grew up learning you don't do interviews, you don't do this, you don't do that, and you handle your business in the street, you know what I mean? And, but, you know, when somebody mention your name or put you out there, you know, in these different platforms, you gotta, you know, I wanted to address it.
So you're saying if your name was never mentioned, you wouldn't be sitting in front of me right now?
I wouldn't be sitting in front of you right now.
All right, so let's get into your story. You were born in L.A.
No doubt.
You actually were born in the Hoovers, huh?
Exactly, 57th and Hoover. My grandmother been in Hoover 60 years. So in the 50s, I know all them dudes over there. My mother, out the neighborhood from over there. Not from the neighborhood, but grew up in that neighborhood. But I go home to Los Angeles, 120th and Main is where I go home to. So first, second, kindergarten, third grade, all that, you know, I'm right there on 120th and Main, right on the northwest corner. Vacant lot right there where we used to fly our kites. You got Ty's Liquor across the street. You got the LA Deuces right next door to that. So at this point, you know, I don't know nothing about gangs. I'm in elementary. You know, my first even introduction to any gang was I went to 118th Street Elementary School. So some of the guys there, my little partners that I run around with first, second grade, stuff like that, they had brothers from East Coast. That's the first time I ever heard of what a Crip was.
And we talking about 11-8?
11-8, you know what I mean? And they was ECBC. I think at the time they was the only block Crips or something, which I got this history from my little cats. They brothers was OG East Coast at the time. Now, like I say, where I'm at on 120th and Main, if you could picture this intersection, if you go one street north to 121st, that's Athens Park. If you go one street to 119th, that's 11-8. I grew up right on the corner. So when my mother sent my brother to the store, I had a brother that was 4 years older than me. When she'll send him across the street to get something from the store, and the 11-8s and the Athens Parks get the beef, and the Athens Parks will come out the alley, the 11-8 will come from behind the Deuces, and they'll get cracking. Now you got to think this is 1980, you know what I mean? You know, in 80, I'm what, 7 years old? You know what I mean? So this is my first, I mean, I could look out my kitchen window and see how I get going. Athens Parks will come out of here, 11-8s will come out of there, and they'll get cracking. So the thing about it back then was, a little kid on his bike, you know what I mean, running around. So go visit my school partners, 118th, 117th, 116th on my bike. But at the same time, my brother, he ran with Lil Papa and them. Big Papa was from Athens Millers. So Lil Papa, he ran with them, and they was all Athens Parks. So I learned how to swim at Athens Park. I played baseball at Athens Park. Matter of fact, we won a championship when I played for the Gangbusters, Coach Terry. I played for the Packers at Athens Park, you know what I mean? And everything about sports and all that activity for me was Athens Park. So, but once the Athens and 11-8s gotten so much right on, they always would meet right in front of our house. My brother was coming from the store a couple times, and they get to shooting. I almost hit my brother. My mother said, we got to get up out of here. And this when we moved to a city called Lynwood that I never heard of.
Okay, so before we get to Lynwood, I just want to put this in context for those that are listening around the country and the world. This beef between 11-8 and Athens was a very active beef.
It was active.
At the time, you was actually living there. This wasn't.
Oh, no doubt. No.
This wasn't a normal beef. This was a beef that it was bodies.
And the crazy part about it is it still exists right now. I mean, right today. You know what I mean? So yeah. So she wanted to give us a better opportunity, and you know what I mean. And she thought them felt like moving, you know, could save her sons. You know what I mean?
So it was your mom and your 2 sons. I mean, her 2 sons, you and your brother.
And my dad.
And your dad.
No doubt. I grew up in a full family, you know, and actually my dad was president of the union out there in McDonnell Douglas. My mom drove a school bus. I didn't come from poverty. I came from out the hood, but I didn't come from poverty. You know what I mean? And I did everything, and sports wasn't my specialty. You know what I mean? And 2 houses down was a guy who raised BMX, a black guy at the time. he was in all the local magazines and he lived 2 houses from me. So I got into BMX. So 7, 8, 9, I rode expert at that time. You know, I still got my trophy, still got the pictures and all that. I raced BMX. So like I say, I lived a full childhood life. You know, I had the mini bike, not the one that you put your hand up under there. I had the one from the store, you know, so, but I still live in the hood, you know, and this violence is still going on right out our kitchen window. You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah, and I remember reading over this paperwork that's floating all over the internet right now. When you got sentenced, the AUSA was basically saying that you had a lot of good things going for you as a kid growing up, and she didn't really have any mercy on you.
Nah, she didn't have no mercy on me, you know. And what it is they feel you know better. I didn't understand this. They differentiate from who they feel didn't know, compared to who they feel do know. And they feel the people that do know should be punished a little harder because you knew.
So they did a lot of research and they knew your whole childhood, your whole background. The feds did.
Man, they did the research on me, man. And hey, look, by the time I got to the feds, they knew so much about me. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They knew stuff that, like, damn, how did these people know this? You know what I mean? But that's what it was.
Well, they got unlimited resources. So
no doubt.
I'm curious to know, why did your family move from the Hoovers to 120th and Main?
Well, you know, my mother at the same time when I was born, you know, my mother was married to my dad, you know what I mean? And they actually rented that house from my uncle, you know what I mean? And my uncle Ike, and which his son is Ike Jr. from Atlantic Drive, that was my cousin, you know, so I got cousins out of Atlantic Drive, Phi Trey Avalon, you know, of course, many of them out of Phi Deuce Hoover. And so, you know, I was connected with LA, but we rented that house. They rented that house because of my uncle owned it, you know. And 120th and Main, man, I got a lot of memories from that. Not to mention my great-grandmother stayed right down the street on 120th, but she was more towards down San Pedro. Jump on my bike, roll down there, say I'm going to my grandmother's house, man, I'm way on Imperial somewhere, or I'm way on El Segundo somewhere. You know, times was different back then, you know what I mean?
So by the time your parents decided to move to Lynwood, your older brother was already like 13, 14. Was he kind of connected with the Athens at that time?
No doubt. You know what I mean? He represented Athens, and he went to Gompers. You know what I mean? And when he got to Gompers, by the time I got to the 4th grade, which is, if I was in the 4th, he was in the 8th, because he was 4 years older than me. They was at Gompers, man, and they had a situation because you had the Broadways, you had you had the East Coast, you had the Main Streets. You know what I mean? So, you know, a lot of the Athens Parks actually went to what was that junior high school over there?
Vanguard.
Vanguard. They went to Vanguard. You know what I mean? So where we was on that, he had to go to Athens. I mean, he had to go to Gompers. So when he got there, you know, 7th grade, he was in the 7th. You know what I mean? And actually, he was in the 7th because when we moved, he was in the 7th. So.
Were you aware that your brother was representing before you guys moved to Lynwood?
Yeah.
Did your brother come to you and say, I'm from Athens?
No doubt. Because like I say, my relative's still from Athens, still living in Athens. You know what I mean? And he ran with Papa. You know, I knew to get down. You know, my brother was APB. You know what I mean? And he a young dude. You know what I mean? You know, and don't get me wrong. You know, but that was his get down. I'm from Athens. Me, I'm a kid. I go to Athens Park to do this, but I might ride over here and holler at my little partners, but they brothers was from East Coast, so I was getting my gangbang history, you know what I mean? I jump on my bike, I go over there to 121st, it was an OG Athens Park named K-Rock. And for some reason, K-Rock used to talk to me and, you know, lace me on the game, but I think his main thing was, man, where you live at, right on this corner where we banging at, hey, be careful, man. Y'all be careful, you and your brother, y'all be careful. You know what I mean? Because we stayed on the hot spot, man. We stayed right there. You know what I mean? Like I said, if I pull out into my alley, that's 11-8. That's Athens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you were there early 80s.
Early 80s. We moved to 82.
82. Okay.
I was in 4th grade.
Yeah, I remember Calico got shot in 85.
I remember Calico.
84,
yeah, I remember Calico.
And he was a major figure at that time when he got shot.
Yeah.
And he's paralyzed. He's still, to this day, he's still doing well.
Yeah, them names, them OGs over there.
Okay, so what's funny is if your parents never decided to move, you would have definitely been in Athens.
No doubt. You know what I mean? No doubt. You know, and I still got a gang of love for him. And like I say, my relative, he's still over there to this day. He ended up getting granddaddy house, so he's still in the park. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you moved to Lynwood, and I'm assuming the part of Lynwood you moved to is close to the border of Compton.
Well, the border of Compton runs right through our neighborhood, you know what I mean? So you got to divide, you know what I mean? And it's crazy because when I moved to the hood in '82, it was 90%, Cross Atlantic was 90% Lynwood and 10% Compton because the border come through there. And today, and for many years, it's really now 90% Compton, 10% Lynwood. You know what I mean? So you won't hear nobody today say Lynwood. You know what I mean? You know, but originally that's what it was.
So some cats during your generation or before you were repping Lynwood?
No doubt.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they was ripping and repping it strong. You know what I mean? They took pride in it because we was the only Pirus in Lynwood. And depending on where you lived at, you had to go to Lynwood schools. All the homies, the Lime Hood Pirus, the Lueders Parks, they went to Whaley Junior High. Some of us had to go to Hussle Junior High, which is over there connected to Lynwood Park. And it was an all Crip junior high, you know what I mean? So when I got there in like '85, that was really my first taste of real gang banging. You know, I was from the set, you know what I mean, at an early age. When I say early, 5th grade, I was from the hood. You know what I mean? Like I could jump on my bike and go to anywhere in Cross Atlantic, fuck with any of the homies, the G homies. They mamas used to come out. Boy, what you doing out here with them? You know what I mean? And the homies, man, that's the little homie. That ain't no little homie, that's the kid. But the homies knew I was cool since the 5th grade, you know what I mean? So by the time you get to the 7th grade, I went to an all-crip junior high, and that's really when I cut my teeth in the gang banging.
Now, what were your parents thinking at this time? Did they already knew your older brother was from Athens?
Right.
You just not representing Cross Atlantic. What are they thinking?
Well, you got to think as parents and shit, you know, they gonna look at the best in their kids. You know what I mean? And I was kind of, not to try to make it seem like, I mean, record show, I was kind of bright. You know what I mean? I got decent grades. You know, I lived 2 lives for a long time, Alex. You know what I mean? And I go to school, you know what I mean, and push that line. You know, and I was on a bike, backpack, 6th grade. I go get 20, 30 motherfuckers to come holler at you if I needed to. I'm moving little shit around the neighborhood in the backpack on my bike. You know what I mean? I mean, the homies really, by 6th grade, the homies had full trust in me. Like, this dude's solid. 6th grade, and I didn't look at it at that time as that what it was. It took me many years to go look back and say, what was you dudes doing fucking with a 6th grader? You know what I mean? Like, you know, because I wouldn't want no, you know, my 6th grade son running around on neighborhood fucking with nobody. You know what I mean? You know, especially some gang members. But to be honest with you, I was in a gang, Alice, before I knew I was even in a gang.
So who were your early influences from Cross Atlantic on the Lynwood side when you got there?
Well, you know, the thing about it was, I'm through and through Cross Atlantic. You know what I mean? And like I say, we got Lynwood, we got Compton. You know what I mean? My early influences was Dre G. You know what I mean? And like I say, we got Lynwood, we got Compton. You know what I mean? My early influences was Dre G. You know what I mean? Andre Williams, my big homie who he molded me, Alex. He had more faith in me than I had in me. You know what I mean? He took me to my first gang meeting, and you know, I ain't trying to put the big homie out there, but on everything, homie. He took me to my first gang meeting and everything. You know what I mean? And I never forget when we first moved to the hood, my mom was like, them 2 dudes down at the corner from the neighbors, you know, y'all stay away from them. You know what I mean? But my big homie Dre G and my brother was the exact same age. Birthdays on the exact same day. You know what I mean? So, well, I get to fuck with Dre G and running around, you know, bam, he asked me, hey, you meet the little homies on this street? You meet the homies? Man, I know, I'd met all the little homies around here. So Dre G, like, back then we used to hang out in elementary schools. That's what it was. All the discipline, all the meetings, everything was in the elementary school. So one day, me and Dre G, he like, man, let's go up to the elementary school, man. Come on, dog, let's roll. I went to this elementary school, Janie P. Abbott, you know what I mean? And so we get up to the elementary school to go hang out. They up there having a gang meeting. You know what I mean? Across Atlantic's having a gang meeting. So he like, well, shit, it is what it is. Let me introduce you to the homies. You know what I mean? My G homie D-Dog was really running the meeting. He was the general at the time. He putting it down, you know what I mean? And I meet some, you know, they looked at me like, they looked at Dre like, Dre, who was this kid? Because they on some real gang activity. Who was this dude? And they like, man, it's my little homie, you know, live on my block, woo, woo. And Dre molded me, he took care of me, he taught me the rules of this shit, you know what I mean? And you don't run from nobody, you run all your phase, win, lose, or draw. He taught me the morals and values of what it was to be across Atlantic. You know what I mean?
And just, we're not trying to put Dre G out there, but for those who don't understand, him being the same age as your brother, you basically had a little brother, big brother relationship with him.
Yeah.
It's not about, you know, a lot of people just think, oh, this guy's out there recruiting.
No.
It ain't about that.
It wasn't that.
It's about a relationship you develop.
We developed
and
a
you
relationship.
saw a big brother in him.
No doubt. And he protected me. Because when it came down to it, now Dre G wasn't a big homie in the hood, though. You know what I mean? We had G's way, you know, over Dre G. It was just I grew up on Dre Street, and Dre had my back and made sure that, and I never forget, Dre G got into it with one of the super G's, came home from the pen. And I had an issue with him because he had been going to the pen. He didn't know me. You know what I mean? Came home from the pen. Who is this? Blah, blah, blah. We had a situation. And I watched Dre G get down with his super OG, you know what I mean, for me. You know what I mean? And that was a squad, I mean, they got down. You know what I mean? And the super G that came home, the hood teamed up on him. Hold on, homie. That's the baby homie. You know what I mean? To the point to where the super G homie came, knocked on my door, Alex, and was like, hey, man, the whole hood behind you, homie. My apologies. Here you go. You know what I mean? You know,
Y'all were the youngsters.
I'm talking about young though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Should no kid at this time had that much love in the hood. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm talking 13 years old. You know what I mean? You know, I'm talking about I was a kid. You know, we look at it back in the day, like when we was 13, like we was tough. Dude, that's a baby. You know what I mean? You know, when I look at my kids at 30, that's a baby. You know what I mean? And the whole hood went to bat for me, and that was the beginning of an era right there.
So from there on, it was full-fledged cross-Atlantic.
No motherfucking doubt. But, you know, the thing about it was this, you know, even though we was portioned right there in Lynwood on the border of Compton, you know what I mean, 90% of the shit we did is Compton. You know what I mean? Because ain't no more Pirus in Lynwood. We beefing with the Lynwood end hoods. We beefing with the Pope Streets. We beefing with the Palm and Oaks. You know what I mean? And then when you got a certain, what can I say? You got a certain instinct about you. You know, you want to travel. So we gonna hang out at East Compton Park with the Lime hoods. Them our number one. Them our tightest. You know, them our dogs. We gonna go up to Lueders Park, you know what I mean? You gonna venture out to other neighborhoods, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, by the time you cutting your teeth when all these hoods in Compton, you know what I mean? You in. Now, the reality of it is, I lived in Lynwood which I didn't realize, I lived in Lynwood from 82 to 89. You know what I mean? You know, cut my teeth with the wood. I would swear up and down that I'm thorough, you know, Lynwood. But I only lived there from 82 to 89. I lived in Compton from 90 to the rest of my, you know, till I was enough to move out to get away from the neighborhood. You know what I mean? So when you go do the math and you talk about the east side of Compton, this is really what it was. You know what I mean? You know, this small border, a lot of people may say, damn, you claim 2 cities? No, I claim 2 streets because there's only 2 streets to separate us. You know what I mean? You know, and so when I come up, you know, I cut my teeth with the Lime hoods, the Elm Streets, the Lueders Parks, the Mob. You know, I mean, you know, I'm an east side. Back then it was ESP. I felt like all this shit was my neighborhood, Alex. You know what I mean?
Now, even a little bit of Mob Pirus in Lynwood too.
Yeah.
Y'all aren't the only hood.
No, we not the only ones. You got Mob. They got Lynwood addresses. The Palm and Oaks. They claim Lynwood, but they got Compton addresses. It's just that border come right through all our neighborhood, and you know what I mean. You got 2 sides. You know what I mean? You know, if you go to streetgangs.com or something like that, they gonna show that we a Compton gang. Yeah. But I can't leave out the Lynwood. You know what I mean? That's kind of really what it was, cutting our teeth. Later on, it was really, like I say now, it's 95% Compton, what the homies claiming, because when the parents got to losing those houses or selling their houses, Hispanics was buying them up. You know what I mean? So now all the homies who came are from the hood now, you know, they straight up bombed it. You know what I mean?
Now you mentioned that you go to Lueders, you go to these other parks. Even though you cross Atlantic, you're also Eastside Pirus.
Eastside Pirus.
Talk about because there's kind of like 2 identities. You know?
It is. So for some, it'd be like this. I got some homies who they straight up cross Atlantic. You know what I mean? They function across Atlantic. They do what cross Atlantics do. They with the hood 100%, but they don't venture out and you know, they might mingle with the other homies, and there's nothing against how they feel. Some of us, homie, we gonna take this shit further. You know what I mean? If I'm in the Elm Street and somebody come through, I'm riding with the Elm. Ain't no question about it. If I'm in the line hoods and the motherfuckers come through, I'm gonna ride with the line. And that's how we cut our teeth, you know what I mean, through the east side, because at one point, to be honest with you, Lueders Park, Mob, Cross Atlantic, Holly, all that was Lueders Park. It was all Lueders Park. You know what I mean? It was all one hood. You know what I mean? So it ain't no different from like how the Swans, they break it up. This 7-9 Swan, this 8-0 Swan, this 8-4 Swan. It's all Swan. You know what I mean? So when the homies broke it up into, you know, because back in the day it was, you know, they got new shit now, Alex. You know what I mean? You got the LAC. That's Lueders, Atlantic, and Cedar. That's how they rock. You got the NWA. That's the Nellas, the West Side, and the Anthers. That's how they rock. You know, I come from back when it was Cedar Am, Lueders Mob, Cross Atlantic, Lime Hood. You know what I mean? And the Lime Hoods, I love them dudes dearly, homie. You know what I mean? Them dudes, that's my other hood over there. In Compton, you know, when you really banging, you fucking with all of it. You know what I mean? If somebody come do something in any hood over there, you feel like you obligated to go help out. Even if you hear about it. Somebody did wasn't aware, let's go over there and see what the homies need. You know what I mean? And that's how it was for some of us. Yeah. And I was one of them dudes.
Before you got there, it was all Lueders in the 70s, and then it started to break away.
Started to break up, yeah.
Did you ever get the history on who was the dude that broke away and said, we're going to be cross Atlantic over here?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, I did. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because like I said, I can call them dudes to this day. I'm through and through cross Atlantic.
And they're still around, the founders.
Well, they still living. They not around, but they still living, you know what I mean? And I got those numbers because, you know what I mean? Don't come on here to mean to toot no horns or nothing like that, but, you know, check the Carfax. You know, I'm FG, Alex, you know what I mean? And my G homies, all the way from the inception of Cross Atlantic, I fuck with them all the way down to the dude that might have just got put on 2 days ago. You know, I'm gonna know about it, you know what I mean? But the founders of it, it was more or less like because Lueders Mob was breaking up. Now, Elm is the original where it kicked off at. You know what I mean? You know, I don't mean to tell the history of another neighborhood, but I know the Super G's, a lot of them came out to Elm Street. You know what I mean? That's from Lueders Park, came out to Elm. You know what I mean? And so when the Elm started breaking off, and then it was Lueders Mob, you know, they start breaking off. You know, the big homies start breaking off over there. The Lime Hoods did their thing, Holly Hoods did their thing. Now you got Cross Atlantic. You know what I mean? But so even before it was Cross Atlantic, they didn't have an identity. They were just more or less like them, the Atlantic Street boys, the our hood. You know what I mean? They called them our hood. Them dudes that was over there on the other side of Atlantic. You go over there on the other side of Atlantic, you got to deal with, you know, Mike Hall, Joe Hunter, Leroy Clark. You know what I mean? Buzzy. You know, you got to deal with them niggas over there. They over there. You know what I mean? So, and they was reputable dudes. You know what I mean? So, and once dudes got to saying, you know, the dudes over there on the other side of Atlantic, across Atlantic, go across Atlantic, it's a different issue over there, and that's when it was took off, Cross Atlantic Piru.
Now, when you was coming up, I would guess that China Dog, Brother Nunn was one of the biggest names on the east side.
You know, he was when I was coming up, but when you got to think about when you coming up in your section. Then you venture off to other sections. Then you start hearing these big names and shit from, you know, from how Piru started. Because before you knew how Piru started, you only know about your neighborhood. You only with your neighborhood, you know what I mean? So I was able to understand where the root started at on the east side. And then I was even able to meet Puddin', you know, back in the day, they originally started the root itself, you know what I mean? You know, them cats, you know what I mean? And then you start doing your history. Where did this shit start? Who was the key players that was there when it started? You know, and like I say, you can go ask China Dog, you can go ask OG Willie T, you can go ask any of the G's about me. You know what I mean? And even though I'm a lot younger than them, wasn't around when they was banging, you know, the shit, they know who the motherfuckers is, the key players out of every neighborhood. You can go ask any of them about me, Alex. You know what I mean?
You know what? I was reading your paperwork that everybody's reading right now, and there's a G's name that's in there. Stanley Pitts.
Oh, Stanley Pitts. I love Stanley Pitts. Yeah, no, Stanley Pitts. I love Stanley Pitts. Just seen him a couple weeks ago. And the one thing about Stan, and these are legends. Don't forget. These are Bompton legends. You know what I mean? That, as I said, at one point in time, I only knew about their name. I was getting the history on these dudes. And then next thing you know, Alex, I'm fucking with these dudes. I'm functioning with these dudes. You know what I mean? And Stan was one of the dudes that I could say, and he'll say right now that I believe Stan had a whole lot of love in his heart for me. Because Stan used to try to lace my boots. You know what I mean? Stan used to come tell me shit, man, F, man, F, man, F. You know, he used to try to give me knowledge on everything he could. You know what I mean? And I love Stanley Pierce, man. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate big homie.
And the only reason why his name is in your paperwork is because of this informant, which we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But what's crazy is Stanley Pitts is actually just known by his real
name. I don't think he got a gang name. You know what I mean? If he do, I don't know it. Nah. You know what I mean? Yeah, his gang name is, to me, is Stanley Pitts, the G homie.
Okay, so you was going to junior high at Hostler.
Yeah.
And then what high school do you end up going to?
Ninth grade, I went to Lynwood. You know, I went to Lynwood ninth grade. Omar Bradley was our coach. Matter of fact, my god brother Face from Elm Street, that was his uncle. And so Omar, you know, he was one of my mentors growing up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's from the west side.
No doubt. You ever asked him about
and his brother was active. Right?
No doubt, no doubt. You had Wayne, you had Ronald, you had his big brother Henry was really the force. You know what I mean? But yeah, you go ask any of them about me, they'll tell you, you know.
And for those who don't know, Omar Bradley actually became the mayor.
He became the mayor. Yeah, he became the mayor. And what happened was, this is my god brother, me and a little bro caught a murder back in '89, and he's from Elm Street. He caught a murder back in '89. So when he came home, but to go back, when I was at Lynwood, we won the championship on the football team. And Face from Elm was our quarterback. I mean, we got it in, you know. And so I went to Lynwood in the ninth, and we got into a big ass riot with the Crips at a talent show. And it was big, and we had to go send the homies over to the mob to get some help. You know what I mean? Because the Crips was trying to press us, you know, and we got down with them, and it was.
Was it all Lynwood Crips or Crip more than Lynwood?
Nah, because at Lynwood High, it was everybody. Same at Hostler. You had Carver Parks, you had Grape Street, you had Park Village, you had all them there. You know what I mean? So it wasn't no easy feat for me to go there. But I went there the 2 years, I ran my phase, I got down, I did all that shit, you know, but you wasn't running me up out of there. You know what I mean? So at the Lynwood, I had more homies though. By the time I got to Lynwood, the homies was deep. You know what I mean?
So Omar was the coach at Lynwood?
Yeah, he was my freshman coach.
He was a football coach.
He was a football, hell yeah. Good coach too. Like I said, we won the championship at Lynwood. So then after I got into the ride with the Crips at the talent show, Omar, me, Dominic Wilson, Omar Bradley, and a couple other players, we left Lynwood High and went to Garr High and Cerritos.
Was that for 11th grade?
No, that was 10th grade. 10th. We went 10th grade because we were trying to get scholarships, Alice. We had talent. And the coach that was there and shit, I ain't gonna lie, I felt like he was a real sympathizer. You know what I mean? He catered to certain motherfuckers, but the motherfuckers who was Pirus, it seemed like he had a problem with them, you know what I mean? But it seemed like he had a problem with Omar as well, you know what I mean? You know, because Omar, you know, he don't want to admit it, or he might not, but he, you know, he from the west side, you know what I mean? And so we went to Garr and Cerritos, and we did good over there. Took them to their first championship. Well, not a championship, let me take that back. We took them to the playoffs. They hadn't been to the playoffs since the 70s. We beat big, I don't know if you remember Bruce Walker and them that was over there at Dominion, so we beat them that year. My 11th grade year, we put hands, he was in a senior, we put hands on them over there at Dominguez High. You know what I mean? So we went over there to try to get a better education, and that's what it was.
So at the same time you putting all this energy and effort into football, you still cross Atlantic?
No doubt. I'm talking about equally. You know what I mean? That's why I say I live two lives. I go to football practice, go to game, because you got to think, you know, I was going to college. It wasn't no doubt. I mean, I was in the press telegram. I had all the college, you know, a lot of colleges, you know, trying to recruit me. But at the same time, the homie, I never forget, I'm at Garr High School, the homie paged me. We had pagers back then. The homie Goldie from Lueders Park paged me and shit. Man, yeah, he'll let me borrow a motherfucking pistol grip pump. You know what I mean? So I'm 10th grade at Garr High School, you know, and Goldie called, he paged me. Tell my teacher I need to use the restroom and shit. I go to the restroom. Goldie, what's up, homie? He said, man, I need that pump. I need that gauge. I'm like, dude, I got a test in about an hour, homie. I'm at school. He like, man, I could be up there in 30 minutes. Just come out to the parking lot. I'll grab it. But we at Garr High and Cerritos. Dude, I can't pull out no pistol grip pump in the parking lot. So I tell him, take my car and just leave your car. You know what I mean? So, I mean, motherfucker was active.
Yeah.
You know?
And to go back to your paperwork, I believe the assistant attorney mentions that you had multiple opportunities to
Man.
play sports in college, but decided to do this instead.
But decided to do that instead. But you know, you got to realize, I don't know if you ever been in love before. It's nobody, you know, I don't count my kids because that's a different love. But I mean, nobody outside of that, man, for most of my, you know, 90% of my life. Well, as an adult, you know, man, Piru was everything to me.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that when you're in the streets, there's like an addiction.
No doubt.
And it's you might say to yourself, I want to leave this alone, but I love it too much.
Well, you know, that's for some of us. Some of us do it to get by. Some of them dudes do it to get by. You know what I mean? Because they live in the hood, they can't escape it. You know what I mean? Which is different from the day. But back in the day, you lived in the set. You know what I mean? So you couldn't escape nothing. So if you had you did anything faulty, you know what I mean? Hey, somebody gonna send somebody to your house. Hey, come up to the elementary school, and that's when motherfuckers was gonna get regulated. You was gonna get disciplined. You was gonna get championed if you did something good, but you couldn't escape it. So you had some people had to be a part of it. For dudes like me, I naturally just was in love with the root. You know what I mean?
So while you were playing football and representing Cross Atlantic, did you manage to avoid juvenile cases?
I did, you know what I mean? And the cold part about it is if you go check the history, like I keep saying, check the Carfax. I wasn't shy from putting in the work. I put in some work before I go to school 7 in the morning, you know what I mean? You know, and even, you know, when you get into later on my robbery, I was in the 12th grade, you know what I mean? And it wasn't a robbery. I was dropping my little homeboy off at school at Lynwood High. Now I'm finna get on the freeway, go to Garr High. Crips threw a rock at my car and banged on me, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of kids out here and shit. I can't gun him down. You know what I mean? So I pull it out and give me what y'all got. You know what I mean? So I didn't give a fuck about what they had. It's just I'm finna humiliate y'all for trying to act like y'all some super Crips and bang on me. And I robbed their ass and I went to school. You know what I mean? So even when I played football, I never forget I got rushed by the Palmers and shit. Because even at Garr, it was Crips over there. Palmers was deep over there when we got on there. The Compton was not, you know what I mean? And I ran all they fades and, you know, got down with them and nothing I tell you on this motherfucker gonna be faulty because that ain't what type of, anybody motherfucker fuck with me know I'm 100, you know?
Now, what did the football coaches and people who saw talent in you say about, you know, you got talent, but you're getting in trouble?
Well, the thing about it is when I got to Garr, it was white coaches. It was a different, when I got there, Alex opposed to Lynwood High, they got all the classes I needed to go to a 4-year. They made sure they had my back. The principal loved me. Mind you, they hadn't been to the playoffs since the 70s. We took them there. You know what I mean? And now they got a winning team. You know, now they alive, they vibrant. You know what I mean? So what they did was they ate up some of the shit, me getting in the fights on campus with certain motherfuckers, you know. And then a lot of the dudes that was coming up there was already out of high school. So I could say like 5 or 6 of the fades I ran was dudes that already was out of high school. They might have even went there before or not, but you came up to a high school to get down with a high school. So it was a lot of times that I didn't get faulted based on a grown man or per se 18-year-old, 19-year-old came up to the high school to get down with me. So you don't even know how many fades I ran and didn't even get booked on them because somebody came up here to this high school. But they knew what time it was. They knew what they dealing with. They dealing with an athlete who's troubled, you know what I mean, with this gang thing, and we gonna try to work with him as long as we winning. If we was losing, they probably would have kicked me out that motherfucker a long time ago.
Now, who were some other talented dudes from the streets that played ball too?
Shit, Omar Bradley, my big homie Keith Nixon, Silent.
From Cross Atlantic?
Omar Bradley, face from Am. Keith Nixon, he Cross Atlantic. You know what I mean? Talented, man. I'm talking about. Matter of fact, his son play for the Raiders right now. You know what I mean? And he just bred talent. My other 2 nephews, because we like brothers, the other 2 nephews, they balled. You know what I mean? And he got now Dre G. You know what I mean? Dre G played corner. You know what I mean? All the homies play sports. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, back then, all the homies played sports, but they was from the hood, even the Rips. You know what I mean?
So some of the teammates were from opposing sets, though.
No doubt. That's why my relationship with the Lynwood and Hoods is what it is now. We got it in back in the day, but dude, we knew each other first. They didn't even call me FG. You call me by my Frank Thornton. Frank Thornton came through here, or we hollered, we seen Frank Thornton jumped out. It was a difference back then. You know, you actually knew these dudes, you know, from Lynwood. Now, when we get to beefing with the Tanners and shit like that, no, you didn't know them dudes. Them dudes was just Crips that, You know, it wasn't no relationship. You know what I mean? And that was a whole different beef. You know what I mean? It was different because you didn't give a fuck about them and they didn't give a fuck about you.
So you go to high school in Cerritos, Garr, for 10th, 11th, 12th?
10th, 11th, 12th, but except for one stint, my mother and father, you know, in '89, they broke up, sold the house. And my mother moved to Inglewood and my father moved over there in Compton. So I went to live with my mom for a little bit in Inglewood, and I went to Inglewood High for a quick second. I played in one football game and we got smashed by Culver City. I never forget, you know, but I was in the newspaper because I had so many tackles at this time. It was like something, I guess, extraordinary and shit. And I got up out of there because I didn't see no future. Now, don't get me wrong, the homies was deep at Inglewood. You know what I mean? I had never been to a blood school like that. You know what I mean? And when I went there, it was like blood central. You know what I mean? And I always had a head on my shoulder, but at the same time, I knew that fucking around up here, I already know where this headed, you know what I mean? And I played one game for him, went back to Garr and Cerritos, finished playing out my career over there in high school.
So at some point, I guess in your later high school years, you started hustling.
No doubt, you know what I mean? You know, well, to be honest with you, you hustled back in the 80s, you hustled because it was always there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like a next level hustle.
Yeah, I got I made it to the next level and shit, you know what I mean? And I only smiled because I didn't, you know, you caught me off guard with that, but yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And I took over a lot of territory based on, I was passionate with this shit. You know what I mean? And it's a story behind that we gonna get to a little later, but what really happened was when I came home from the state pen, you know what I mean? And I came home at 21.
So you caught a case.
Yeah, I caught a case and shit. I caught a robbery. The robbery that I was telling you about. I caught the robbery. I caught a couple drive-by shootings, and dudes didn't end up coming to court for the drive-bys. I had 2 drive-bys and a robbery. I'm in the county jail with the big homies, you know, and to even go back, my first case, I didn't catch no juvenile case, which you asked me a while ago. I bypassed it all. Didn't miss no wreck. I just bypassed it. You know, I never get caught. So. I go to the county jail. My first time going to the county jail, we over here in Fire Deuce Hoover with my cousin, and we catch GTA. So I get a knockdown and receiving stolen property, and do a little county jail time. As soon as I get there, I go to the module, you know, because I was tatted.
4,300?
Nah, 43 was dismembered by then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I don't make it to, I'm not 18 till 91. Okay. So by the time I get to the county, it's 21, 23. They had just got rid of 43. You know what I mean? And now it's single man cell 21, 23. So I hit the module and shit. The same dudes, different unit. You know what I mean? So I hit the module and shit, man. You got the homies in there fighting murder, multiple murders. You know what I mean? Moon from Swan, J-Rock from Crenshaw, J-Lo from Crenshaw Mafia, motherfucking Tiptoe from Bonnie Hunter just got life without. You know what I mean? And Dog from Nine Deuce Bishop. All these dudes in there fighting these murders. And I come in here with a receiving stolen property. You know, that was my first time cutting my teeth, and so I get off on that. And
what was your the module experience like for you?
Well, the first time it was more or less like I seen the homies was in there fighting serious crime. They didn't want to fuck with no motherfuckers in there for no motherfucking weeks and shit like that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I was a Pirus, so the Pirus was gonna make sure I kept it. You know what I mean? Now. On that, I only stayed out 27 days before I went back. Now, the cold part about it is when I went that first time, I actually got out of jail and went back to school. Went back to Garr High School in Cerritos, went back to school. I'm back in the class. I was only gone, you know, month or two, you know what I mean? So I'm back in high school. 27 days later, it's like I say, when I go to jail for the robbery, they had already had 2 shootings on me waiting for me. You know, they was trying to really, they didn't have all the pieces together, but they had them. You know what I mean? So when I go back, I got the 2 drive-bys and a robbery, and 27 days, I go right back. Now I'm back in the march.
So they just came and picked you up?
Nah, well, for the robbery, yeah, no doubt. Remember I told you I was on my way to school.
No, I'm talking about after you went to the county, got out, then they picked you up for the drive-bys.
No, I went to the county, I got out, I did the robbery, and when they picked me up on that, they already had 2 shootings that they was investigating me for, that they just hadn't came and got me yet because they didn't have all their pieces together. You know what I mean? And so now I'm back in the county jail in the blood module. Now my ideology is different.
So you're sitting in the county fighting this case, basically?
Sitting in the county fighting my case.
And you end up taking a deal?
Not on that. My father died. You know what I mean? Which we can go back to that because you know what I mean.
This is 1990?
91.
91.
Yeah.
So does he pass while you're in the county?
He passed while I'm in the county fighting my case. You know what I mean? You know, but if we back up to 1990, that's when my brother got killed.
Okay, so let's back up. 1990, you're still in high school, right?
I'm still in high school. Yeah.
What happens to your older brother?
The Crips killed my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he killed my brother in Inglewood and shit, and I was 17, a day after my 17th birthday. And that's kind of what really, really took me over, you know, from when I had that 1 feet in and that 1 feet out. I've been talking all this time. When the Crips killed my brother, it was game on.
That must have had a huge impact on you. You're going to the funeral for actually probably a family member for the first time that died in the streets.
My brother. You know, like you said, you had been to funerals for different people, homies and shit like that. But when you go and it's your brother, you know what I mean? It's a whole different feeling, you know what I mean? And my brother was, he was representing, you know what I mean? But the thing about it was, Alex, that I didn't know the toll that it was take, you know, I never saw the toll what it take on a parent. So I had to watch my mother, you know, lose her baby. You know what I mean? And that hurt me most because, you know, like I say, my brother, we knew the business. You know, we out here pushing the line, we putting in work, we doing the shit we do. We didn't have no problem with, you know, basically shit happened in the streets. But when I seen my mother go through that emotionally, that fucked me up right there.
Your father must be in the early stages of his illness when your brother gets killed? Or?
Yeah, well, as soon as my brother get killed in 90, I catch the case, I go to jail, I'm in the county jail. I called that day from the module. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I never forget it was a deputy named Steele and shit that came down the tier. Like, Steele, fuck that, let me out this motherfucker, man. You know what I mean? Let me get on the tier, man. Steele like, all right, do me a favor. You collect all the trays and shit, I'll let you out for a couple hours. You know, they used to do that back then. So the deputy let me out for a couple hours. I collect all the little food trays from the homies, running kites back and forth for the homies, passing the tobacco and shit or whatever the homies needed me to do on the tier. After that, I get on the phone. You know what I mean? I called my pops because I knew he was ill. You know what I mean? And that had took a toll on me based on while I'm going to school and while I'm playing football, after my brother get killed, I got to come home every day and watch my pops deteriorate. He's sitting on his little lazy boy right when I walk in the pad. He deteriorating every day, man. And when I come in, it's like, it's fucking heartbreaking. You know, this my hero. This my, you know what I mean? That's my everything. You know what I mean? And I sit there and watch him deteriorate every motherfucking day. So when I come in the house, I go in my room. I got a bottle of gin stashed up under the bed. You know, I'm going through what I'm going through. You know, I just lost a brother. Now Pops is just deteriorating before my very fucking eyes. You know what I mean? So I'm out in the street taking it out on niggas out in the street. I didn't give a fuck. I already had a passion for this shit. Now y'all gave me a reason to have a passion for this shit. You know, Crips killed my brother. Oh, niggas cracking. You know what I mean? And so when Pops got to deteriorating, I catch a case and shit. Like I say, I go to jail, and I call him and shit. I get on a tier, and I call Pops and shit. Pops, what's happening? He like, man, what's going on, man? I said, shit, man. They let me out on the tier for a couple hours, man. I had to make sure I get on the phone with you and talk to you. You know what I mean? He like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm feeling good today. You know what I mean? So holler at him and shit, talk to him. I feel better because he said he felt better. So the next day, we had roof time. You know what I mean? They come let us out on the roof because that's the once a week or every 3 or 4 days or something in the module. They'll come let you go up to the roof. So I go up to the roof and shit, man, and it's a bunch of phones up there on the roof. Man, let me call Pops, check on Pops. So back then they had it where you could transfer your phone calls to another number, you know what I mean? I don't know if you remember that, Alex, you know what I mean? Call forwarding, yeah, that's what it was. So my mom's answered the phone. I'm like, what's up, Mom? She like, oh, man, we up here to your grandmother's house. You know, Big Mama, we up at Big Mama's house and shit. And it was, you know, I'm thinking because, like, she wouldn't have left Pops, you know, at this stage and shit. You know what I mean? And so she like, yeah, we up to Big Mama house and shit. I'm like, where Pops at? You know what I mean? She like, oh, he didn't, you know, she like, he didn't make it. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking he didn't make it up to Big Mama house. But I'm wondering who at the house with him because at this point he needs to be washed at all times. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking he didn't make it. You know what I mean? She like, oh, he didn't, you know, she like, he didn't make it. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking he didn't make it up to Big Mama house. But I'm wondering who at the house with him because at this point he needs to be washed at all times. You know what I mean? And I'm like, y'all left him at the house like by himself, you know? She like, nah, son, he didn't make it. You know what I mean? You know, he passed away. So she like, yeah, we up to Big Mama house and shit. I'm like, where Pops at? You know what I mean? She like, oh, you know, she like, he didn't make it. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking he didn't make it up to Big Mama house. But I'm wondering who at the house with him, because at this point he needs to be watched at all time. You know what I mean? And I'm like, y'all left him at the house like by himself, you know? She like, nah, son, he didn't make it. You know what I mean? You know, he passed away. You know what I mean? And I had just talked to him the day before. He said he was feeling good. You know what I mean? So I'm in the county jail, and I never forget one of the homies came. I forgot where the homie was from and shit. You know what I mean? Came up, blood, you gonna be on that phone long? You know what I mean? I hung that motherfucker phone up and just got down on it with the homie, like, cause he kind of said it, kind of disrespectful. You know what I mean? And hold on, nigga, you don't know what's going on the other end of this motherfucker phone, nigga. You know what I mean? And go get off on the home. We get down and shit. Like, blood, don't ever try to check me on the phone, nigga. You know, I'm gonna get off that motherfucker when I get off. But it was fucked up because really, homie, I had just got this news and shit. You know what I mean? So now I'm in the county jail. My pops died. You know what I mean? And feeling fucked up. You know how that probably could feel. You know what I mean?
So you weren't able to go to his funeral?
Nah, mom's worked her shit. You know what I mean? What we ended up doing was the 2 shootings I had. These dudes had not been coming to court. They originally told they got down, but they never showed up. They told from the initial. They never showed up again. So my lawyer filed a 995, that was already in the mix anyway. They filed a 99 motion to dismiss. We got the 99 motion granted. Now I just got the armed robbery. Mom's bailed me out on that, you know what I mean? So she bailed me out. I get to go to the funeral and shit.
So the dudes that told on you decided not to come to court?
Yeah, they just pushed it up, you know what I mean?
How much time had passed between your brother getting killed and your father dying?
My brother died in January of 90. My pops died in June of 91.
So a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half. But don't forget, Pops, like, he suffered though so if my bro died in January, Pops suffered for about a good year, maybe. So I knew he had cancer 6 months after my brother died. So the emotions only was, okay, damn, I lost a brother. 6 months later, bam, I'm watching my father deteriorate, but he didn't pass till June of 90.
And now it's just you and your mom?
Then it's just me and Moms.
And what happens to your mom?
Mom's in, you know, like I say, Moms had moved to Inglewood. What happened was in '89 when Moms and Pops broke up. Moms had moved to Inglewood, Pops moved to Compton. My brother get killed in 90, they get back together. You know what I mean? You know, because initially they like, damn, it's our fault for separating and putting each other in this position. You know, they got right back together, you know. So we all stand in Compton and my dad passed, and Pops get cancer. You know, so when Pops get cancer and pass away, you know, I'm like, okay, this is what it is, me and Moms.
So your mom was there when your father passed?
Yeah, no doubt. She had, you know, she was right there. You know, man, she was actually watched him die. She was at the hospital when he actually took his last breath. So I get out the county jail. I'm fighting my case. I end up getting a joint suspension. I don't know if you remember what the joint suspension was, where they suspend your sentence. You know, I had coaches writing letters. I had people writing letters, and after all, people stand up talking for me. They say, okay, well, this is what we gonna do. We gonna suspend this sentence basically with this 3-year joint suspension. You fuck up one more time, you get this yours. You own this. You know what I mean? So it's me and Moms. You know what I mean? So about 3 months after the Pops passed away, my mama told me to take her to Daniel Freeman. She like, man, my chest hurt. You know what I mean? And my mother wasn't no go to the hospital person. You know what I mean? And I take her to the hospital, and she got diagnosed with cancer. You know, and Mom's fight though, she was a fighter. You know what I mean? She wasn't taking chemo, she wasn't doing none of that shit. She watched my dad go through that shit. She like, I ain't taking that shit. You know what I mean? And she fought it out. Tumors got to popping out there. She fought it. She thugged it out. You know, and I never forget what she told me. And she said, I ain't scared to die. She said, I'm worried about leaving my baby out here by herself, because I was the last. It was only me. It was only a family of 4. You know what I mean? At this time, I'm 19. You know what I mean? She said, I'm worried about leaving my baby out here by herself. On the flip side, Alex, she was so strong. She said, now listen though, this was going on. When I pass away, I want a pink casket. I want a pink dress. If my hair flip to the left, flip it to the right, because that ain't how I wear my shit. That's how strong Mom's was. I'm eating up on the inside, man. You know what I mean? I'm fucked up, Alex, but I gotta be strong, homie. You know, it's what it is. You know what I mean? You know, it's what it is.
So how much more time did she live after she told you all that?
Mom lived about, after she had diagnosed, Mom lived about 8 months. You know what I mean? And I buried her just like she said, asked me to do. You know, I had everything everything she asked me to do, I did it. Pink casket, pink dress. Hair was flipped the wrong way. I flipped it the right way at the motherfucking mortuary. You know what I mean? Her, my brother, and my father all buried at Inglewood Park Cemetery. You know what I mean? And me and my brother right now, we got the double plot. I'm already ready. Shit paid for. All I need is a headstone to open and close.
So you went through you went through some trauma, man, for what, like 3 years straight?
3 years straight. I got hammered. You know what I mean? I lost my whole family and shit. Now all I got is Piru.
Yeah. Now, it must be funny to you when you hear people complain about some bullshit, huh?
Man, let me tell you something. It's I be wanting to slap a motherfucker to say some shit about their mama and shit, and you know, and I'm gonna tell you a funny story. Cause like you mentioned earlier, yeah, I ended up coming up in the game. You know what I mean? Cause you know, I was all in. You know what I mean? I was all in the set. I was all in. We gonna get this bread, and I end up coming the fuck up. You know what I mean? Lowriders, Benzes, you know, all the shit that the streets want. You know what I mean? But they didn't ever know that when Thanksgiving come, a motherfucker be like, oh no, homie, I'm gonna stop by my mom's pad. It was dudes out there that the homies used to say this, cause I didn't believe it at the time. Man, that's a lot of niggas jealous of you. Nigga, you out here balling. It's a lot of niggas jealous of you. But I'm gonna tell you what I was jealous of. A motherfucker that be like, I'm finna go to my mama's house for Thanksgiving. That shit ate me up, man. You know what I mean? Oh man, no, I'm gonna go park my car in my mama's driveway, homie, and scoop me up, and you know what I mean? It was little shit like that I couldn't go park my car in my mama's driveway. You know what I mean?
So you was basically orphaned as a teenager. You were still in your teens.
I was 19,
19.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure you were doing lots of little minor hustling as you was growing up, but when did you decide, you know what, I'm about to go do this for real? Like, how old was you when you had aspirations to hustle on another level?
Well, the thing about it is, at 19, because don't forget, you talk about the 3 years that I went through it with the family. Also at 19, 20, I get shot in a drug deal going wrong. Still got the bullet in my lung to this day. You know what I mean? I get shot in a drug deal went wrong. And right before I get shot, I get caught at a party in the mob. I'm going to a party in the mob. I got a 9mm on me. Just right when Officer Burrell and them got killed in Compton. Them two cops got killed in Compton back in the day.
The white cop and the black cop.
And the black cop.
And
there wasn't Burrell that got killed. Well, yeah, it was Burrell.
Burrell was the black
was the
cop.
Black cop. Yeah. Right.
Cop,
I had a few run-ins with Burrell, but yeah, they had just got killed. So I'm in a party in the mob. You know what I mean? I think at the time the mob beefing with the Palm Oaks and the Tanners. So you know I'm gonna be strapped. You know that was my get out. I'm gonna stay heated. So I'm at a party in the mob and shit, and one time whoop up on me. I never forget how I went and shit, you know, because I almost got away from that shit, you know what I mean? And so they end up booking me on that. So I go to jail. It's a Saturday. Now, don't forget that joint suspension I had over my head. So I called my broad and shit and was like, hey, I need you to come bail me out like ASAP. Without saying on the phone, I need to get out before Monday because obviously that joint suspension wasn't in their computers because they gave me a bail. I know I go to court Monday, they gonna have it Monday. You ain't gonna get out. I fucking get bail out, you know what I mean? And so while I'm out, before I make it to court, I get shot in the drug deal gone bad. You know what I mean? So when I get shot in the drug deal gone bad, I'm in the hospital. You know what I mean? A chest tube hanging out. I was fucked up. You know what I mean?
And this is after your mom passed?
This after my mom passed. Oh. So I never made it home. You know what I mean? Detectives came and got me from the hospital because of that. Oh, you got to pay the piper, homie. So I left the hospital and went to fucking USC Medical Center, LCMC. They got a jail ward on the 13th floor. I had a chest tube in my shit. You know what I mean? And I had took a body shot with a 357, close range and shit, you know.
And I'm sure they came in there wanting to know the whole story.
Well, they had called and shit, you know what I mean, because there was a detective running around back then who was hot shit, sending everybody to the pen, putting in work on the east side of Compton. And somebody had called my phone, you know what I mean? Hey, Frank, you know what I mean? Heard you got shot. Heard you almost didn't make it. Like, who is this? You know, he told me his name, Detective Whoop-de-Whoop. He said, man, you know, tell me who it is. I'll get him 12 years. You know what I mean? I don't know who it was. You know what I mean? That's how you gonna do it? I said, man, I don't know who it was. 2 days later, they came up in that motherfucker and arrested me. Took me on that violation. Now I get the violation because the joint suspension. So I go to LCMC to the
So wait, stop real quick.
Yeah.
What's the violation?
for the joint suspension.
No, but what did you do to get violated?
I got caught with the gun in the mob, and I was out on bail for that, and they put, they ran it all. Oh, you out on? Bring your ass. You owed us.
So now you got to do 3, right?
Yeah. So you know what I mean. But the fucked up part about it was I'm fucked up, Alex. You know what I mean. I probably done lost 50 pounds, and they take once about a month. They take me out of LCMC to USC Medical Center, and they send me to the county jail. Dude, I'm fucked up. You know what I mean? Weak, small, frail. So I'm like, fuck it, they'll keep me in the medical facility and shit until a motherfucker get up and running. And they sent me straight to the blood module. And it was, man, a 10-year-old could have pushed me down at that time, man. You know what I mean? So I got at the Pirus, told them what's happening. You know what I mean? The police gonna come get me every other day, change my bandages. You know what I mean? The Pirus and the Hunters that just had an altercation and shit. So they like the big homie from One Trade Firepower was like, don't tell nobody that you fucked up like this. You know what I mean? We got you. Don't start no shit either, but we got you. You know what I mean? It was fucked up, homie, because I was weak. Couldn't do a push-up. You know what I mean? So I fight that case. I go to the pen. You know what I mean? I come home from the pen at 21.
So can you tell us a little bit about, what happened that caused this person to shoot you? What was going on? Was it they trying to rob you?
No, I wasn't trying to rob me. It was a situation where, like I said, I'm in the drug game already. This at 19. I'm in the drug game. I'm doing pretty decent at this time. You know what I mean? And like I said, I had been stopped selling the smokers and shit. I sell only the homies and motherfuckers who buy drugs. You know what I mean? So it was a drought in 93. You know what I mean? Late 93 is a drought. Can't find no dope nowhere, you know what I mean? So I get at the couple big homies who I know is heavy in the game, you know what I mean? And like, man, I need some work. They like, man, I might can get you something, you know what I mean? So the homie go give me some shit, and then when he bring it back to me, I go to the pad to do my shit, and the shit was some bullshit, you know what I mean? So I got on my big homie like, nigga, you need to come take this shit back. And he like, nigga, I jumped on the freeway to go to Vegas. Nigga, you need to come take this shit back. He like, you know who I got it from. They just didn't want to fuck with you no more because they say you was a hothead. So, but he told me. And sure enough, I did hothead shit. Went straight up there, confronted them. Had an altercation the day before, and they agreed to give me my money back. So the next day when they agreed to give me my money back and shit, we go meet them, me and some of the homies. And they bring the money and shit. You know what I mean? I'm counting the money and shit. And by the time I got halfway through, I could see the rest of the money finna be cool. So I tell my homie, hey, get that bullshit, get that shit. But he looking for the police, you know what I mean? So when he looked for the police, you know what I mean, he reached back and they thought he was grabbing a heat or something, and they pulled out, you know what I mean? And I'm kneeled down, counting the money, kneeled down, you know what I mean? I got my shit on me, I got the 4.5 on me and shit, but I'm kneeled down. You can't get a 4.5 out your waistband if you kneel down, you know what I mean? They standing up, so when the dude pull out this long ass revolver, I'm kneeled down, so I kind of spin off so I could at least get behind the car to stand up to do my shit. He hit me in the back, you know what I mean? Which kind of helped me because it spent me and made me able to face him, you know what I mean? So I get hit, the homie take me to the hospital. I dive in the back of the truck, homie take me to the hospital. That little arm that be at the hospital, homie ran through that shit, drugged me in the hospital and shit, laid me down in the lobby. I told him to get on, nigga. He like, what? I'm like, get on, nigga. You know what I mean? He get on, and I feel myself floating, but I see darkness. So I'm like, this must what it is. But the whole way to the hospital, I had to go talk to my mama. You know what I mean? I said, damn, mama, is this, this what it is, huh? You know what I mean? And so come to find out, when I'm rolling, floating, thinking I'm in darkness, drifting off into the afterlife or something, my eyes was rolling in the back of my head and I was on a gurney. I wake up, I got the chest tube, I got the breathing machine, you know what I mean? And this, that was the whole thing about me getting shot. It wasn't a robbery. It was a fucked up situation that the homie moved a little too quick,
So people kind of overreacted or something?
Yeah, they overreacted for sure, but they didn't know. I mean, I probably would have did the same shit they did, you know what I mean?
Were you able to keep your money?
Oh, shit, I seen that motherfucker big ass 357 come out. I dropped the bread to spin around and try to, do my shit. Yeah. But I still had the bullshit, you know what I mean? Which it wasn't all the way bullshit, it just was like 50%, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, I lost, but I didn't, you know what I mean, was what it was. But I went to the pen, I came home at 21.
Did you ever cross paths with those folks again?
Never. And they folks had owned a shop in our neighborhood and shit. By the time I got home, they was packed up and gone and shit.
So you did a little time,
yeah,
came home, and I'm assuming got back to hustling.
Well, when I came home, this is my introduction to death row, because death row was cracking. I came home in '94. So when I come home and I'm calling the homies, they're like, yeah, man, there's death row out here cracking. I'm like, fuck is that? They're like, man, the homie got the music shit popping. You know what I mean? And all the homies out here with new cars and shit and all. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? But my situation is different, because back then you needed an address to parole from. You know what I mean? You had to have an address in order to parole. I didn't have no address. My grandmother talking about I can't come over there because she live in Hoover. That was some bullshit, because I've been in Hoover my whole motherfucking life. I know every motherfucker over here. You know what I mean? So I didn't even have no address to go home to. My girl at the time, you know what I mean? She, we kids. We 20, 21 years old. She fucking with another motherfucker, you know what I mean? But one thing about it was she had my back the whole time I was down. And when I got ready to come home, I didn't have an address. She said, you can use my mama address. You know what I mean? So imagine having to come home from the pen to your girl pad that shit then basically damn near then left you pretty much. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not finna use her address, but shit, I need to get out that motherfucker. You know what I mean? So when I use the address, I come home, boom. And I go straight to the hood, from the bus station to the hood. You know what I mean? The homies like, here goes some money, here goes some weed. The other homies pull out the pistol. I'm like, hold that. I just got off the motherfucking bus, hold that. So go to the little motel and shit, you know what I mean? That first night, the honeymoon was over. Reality kicks in, Alan. I'm broke, nobody to turn to, I got the set, you know what I mean? Ain't no aunties stepping in, ain't no nothing, you know what I mean? So my second day from the hood, that next day, I tell old girl moms, I can't spend the night over here, I can't stay here. I appreciate you letting me use your address to get out. As soon as I get a chance, I'm gonna change the probation address, but I appreciate it, blah, blah, blah. I call my baby mama and shit. I say, hey, go to the heart of Lueders Park over there, some apartments over there, right in the heart of Lueders Park. Give me an apartment. I set up shop. Third day out, I set up shop. And sold dope 7 days a week, 24/7. You know what I mean? But now death row cracking. So when I come home, Alex was pissing me off was when I first get out, I'm like, hey, well, who got to work? You know what I mean? They like, oh man, we be getting the work from the Crips. I'm like, what you say? Nigga, you getting work from the Crips. Yeah, everybody getting death row checks and shit, man. Niggas ain't hustling like that, so we gotta go to the, I put a stop to that shit immediately. You know what I mean? So while the death row homies death rowing, all the homies in the hood, I locked that motherfucker down. You know what I mean? From the heart of Lueders Park, you know what I mean? And took flight from right there.
So you didn't wanna try to get away into death row and probably try to get a job over there with those dudes? Man,
for one, them was the super G's, you know what I mean? And for two, I gotta eat tonight, Alex. I can't wait on no check. I don't got 2 weeks, you know what I mean? I got tonight. I gotta eat again tonight by, as soon as I can. And wasn't no option, you know what I mean? It wasn't no cushion. Wasn't no none of that, you know what I mean?
So all the death row cats are like about 6, 7, 8 years older than you, right?
Yeah, most of the homies a lot older than me and shit, you know what I mean? Buntry and, Neck Bone, motherfucking all them. Trey only got me by a couple years, you know what I mean? But Trey was in there, you know what I mean? But you still gotta understand, they was getting their feet in, and a lot of homies had never had a lot, so they was more, kind of like on they self, you know what I mean? Not that I'm knocking them, you know what I mean? Because I understand, niggas did a bunch of time in the pen, niggas had never really had a whole lot, and then when death row cracked, now we got new cars, we got, checks and shit like that. I got mine out the street, you know what I mean? I got mine right there, like I said, in the heart of Lueders Park, with the little homies from the park, which I was a little homie myself, and I took flight on their ass right there.
So to get back on your financial footing, did you have to start off with a small sack, or did you get fronted something nice?
Well, it wasn't something nice, but I made work. I never sold to drug users. I always was in a position where I could at least sell to the homies, basically. And there was a lot of homies that sold drugs and shit that what, y'all going to the Crips? Nigga, I'm finna put an end to that. You know what I mean? Just on some that sold to me just in itself. You know what I mean? And don't forget, I'm a dude with no ego. No aspirations to be bigger than nobody or better than nobody. My aspirations to go by the rule books that the big homie set forth and be solid. You know what I mean? So no matter what I had, when I had it, I never changed. I never switched up. I never went Hollywood and shit like some of the homies did. You know what I mean? And I kept a 100 on the ground. You know what I mean? So I started off with a smaller than than I would like to. Man, I bullshit you not, Alan. It's 90 days. I came home to nothing. I say 90 days. I was up about 40 racks. You know what I mean? And just took flight with the work, took flight with the game. I didn't have nothing else, you know what I mean? But we still banging, we still pushing the line, we still all that shit, like right here in the turf, you know what I mean? While the homies in Hollywood doing death row shit, we still, don't forget, these blocks still gotta get managed. These blocks still gotta get held down. I ain't taking nothing from my G's at all. You know what I mean? Nothing at all. I was glad they was in a position, the motherfucker, to see this type of shit, to do this type of shit. And I know when I first came home, Suge had a motherfucking Snoop performing up in Lueders Park. I go up there for probably about 30 minutes. Shit, I got to get back to my block. Suge getting his money, doing what he doing. I need to go get my money doing what the fuck I'm doing. But eventually, I motherfucker start being able to, financially, not worry about this and go fuck with the homies, you know what I mean?
So while you're hustling throughout the 90s, you got out in 94?
I got out in 94.
For the rest of the 90s, you didn't catch any cases?
I got out at 21, from 21 to 31. I had a 10-year stretch, Alex, you know what I mean? And across Atlantics, when I came home, I went to the big homies in the Cross Atlantics and shit. Even though at this point, I'm functioning in Lueders Park, Lime Hood, you know what I mean? The mob, you know what I mean? I'm functioning on the east side, you know what I mean? But I go to the Cross Atlantics and shit, like, check this out, homie. Let me run the hood. Let me get that, you know what I mean? Not that I'm over, overseeing y'all, but let me get the reins. And the homies give me the reins, you know what I mean? And I take flight with it.
So this must have been the best 10 years of your life.
Let me tell you something. but it was the best 10 years of my life. But at the same time, not like I said, I'm never on nothing arrogant. You know what I mean? Because I come up out the trenches. I come up out the turf. I learn from the G's. You know what I mean? Like I say, from Willie T to Stanley Pitts, you know what I mean? You ask my big homie D-Dog, you know what I mean? He was general in the hood. You ask any of the homies about me, I'm thorough, I'm solid. You know, and I never tried to be nothing but that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the resume, from 31 to 21 in the Cross Atlantic, not one homie got killed. From 31 to 21 in the Cross Atlantic, not one homie got a life sentence. You know what I mean? I felt like, and I mean, I'm pushing this line heavy. You know what I mean? Because when I hear you finna do some stupid shit, I'm finna check you on it. Even if you older than me, younger than me, it didn't matter. What the fuck you say? Yeah, that's some stupid shit, nigga. You know what I mean? And I bullshit you not. As soon as I left, shit went bad. You know what I mean? shit went bad.
Well, I say that the best years of your life because during that 10 years, you're making the money you want to make.
Yeah.
And you're free.
No doubt, man. I'm having a ball. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm living the Piru dream. You know what I mean?
And you was also able to parlay some of the street money into legitimate businesses.
No doubt. For 21 years, I had the barbershop right there on Compton Boulevard and Harris. So all the homies got their haircuts in my barbershop. The Lueders, the Elm, the Hollies, the Mobs, because the East Side was one back then. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was ESP. You know what I mean? East Side Piru, and that's what I pushed. There was probably a lot of homies didn't even know where I was from because I pushed all this was my hood. You know what I mean? And that's how I felt in my heart. You know what I mean? So when I got the barbershop, it was like central, like East Side Central. You know what I mean? Everybody from the Buntries to the Trays to the Flips to the everybody got their shit. D-Dog, Shitty Mike, everybody got their shit cut in my shit.
And then you also got involved into the nightclub business.
Got into the nightclub business and shit because I used to throw little parties and shit and people used to come. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? So when I got my first real nightclub was the Red Velvet in Fullerton. And when I opened up the Red Velvet in Fullerton around 90, 98, 99, we used to go out and shit. Me and the homies, we had a crew of dudes from Lime Hood, Lueders Park, Cross Atlantic. We used to go out to all the little clubs, the Century Club, Savannah West, motherfucking Paradise 24, the Golden Tail. We go out to all these clubs and have a good time. But every time we going out, we run into the rips, you know what I mean? And they be deep, you know what I mean? So when I got the opportunity, my little homie Tyrone Longino, he said, hey man, I got a line on this Red Velvet. I'm like, well, what they talking about? You know what I mean? He had it on lock, but he didn't have the financial backing. So when I came in originally, You know, it was me and Tyrone. You know what I mean? We cracked open a red velvet. It was ironic that it was the red velvet. You know what I mean? And I pushed it all to the hood. Nigga, this my new shit. Nigga, y'all come through. Got to doing birthday parties. Got to doing this. The red velvet ended up blowing up, man.
Now, before the red velvet though, you would hang out at some death row functions.
Oh, no doubt.
Even when Pac got killed in '96, were you in Vegas?
I was in Vegas. I actually had a room at the MGM when Pac got killed. You know what I mean? I think the homies on that one, because we was down there a few times at the 662, the club Suge had. And I think they was at the Luxor that night. But I had a room at the MGM, and I was actually at 662 when I got the news that Pac got shot.
So you functioned with all the Pirus that were death row Pirus.
Oh, but
even though they were doing death row thing, you were doing a different thing.
Well, there's the thing about it. They were still 9 to 5 dudes. I mean, or, you know, most of the times they come home from work like regular motherfuckers. These was my personal homies. You know, that was my connection with the road. That the dudes who was on the road from eastside Compton was my personal homies that when they get off work, they coming to fuck with me in some kind of capacity, or I'm going to fuck with them. You know what I mean? You know, and so death row was this close because the homies was right there. They invited me to all the shit. But sometimes y'all going to get y'all check. I got to go get mine. But I was invited to all the shit. You know what I mean?
Was it a big deal when Big Jake from Campanella got killed out in Georgia?
Yeah.
Take me back to that. When you first heard about that, what was you thinking?
Well, you know what? I was like, damn, that shit getting real. You know what I mean? And I was hot. You know what I mean? Like, because I ain't gonna lie, I thought Piru was the biggest thing smoking. Like, how did that happen? I didn't question nobody because I wasn't there, of course. So I don't know all the dynamics of how it went down, but at the same time, that was a loss. Jake was a G. You know what I mean? That was the big homie for sure. You know what I mean? So when that happened, you know, I just figured that shit, you know what I mean? Compton was gonna be on planes and shit going to try to holler at motherfuckers, you know what I mean? You know, dude was that important to the regime, you know what I mean? To Compton, you know, and that was the first I heard about, you know, some real altercations with the death row, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a year before Pac got killed.
Yeah, and you know what I mean? And then, but at the same time, Big Jake is, I'm gonna be honest, Pac was the rapper, you know, known to the world. Big Jake was Compton general, you know what I mean? You know, a real G homie, you know what I mean? Out of Compton, you know, we motherfuckers was hurt over that, you know what I mean?
So then a year later, nobody was expecting Pac to get killed.
Yeah, Pac got killed and shit, and like I said, I was there then. I had been there before that. You know, we was always down to Vegas because Tyson was bringing their crowds in. Sugar had 662, but when Pac got killed, man, that was a whole different, you know, situation.
Now, after Pac got killed, it was a lot of beefs between the Pirus and the South Side.
No doubt.
And at this time, you hustling, and you haven't quite got into the nightclub business yet, right? This is '96.
Yeah, no, not yet, because that beef was, you know, I was around then. I won't speak on that because, like I say, I'm you know, I'm from that shit, so I won't speak on that. But yeah, I know all about the whole, you know, the whole thing that went down. You know what I mean? They get the beef and, you know, the beef get cracking.
And then it seems like after that, just a lot of Pirus just started dropping.
And all of them was my homies.
Yeah, like
I fuck with every single one of them.
Heron.
That was my nigga. Me and Heron used to low ride together and shit. And that was the G homie, you know what I mean? Super G. And like I said, I never tried to be nobody other than me. But the homies took to me. You know, I never forget when I was at Heron house one day and his mom came out and was like, young man, what are you doing with him? You know what I mean? Like, he like, mama, he had a raspy voice. Mama, that's the little homie. You know what I mean? She like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, baby, you need to go do something else, you know. But that was the homie, and him and his brother JP. You know what I mean? Them was the G's.
Buntry,
me and Buntry had a relationship that, you know what I mean, certain people can tell you about, certain people can't. You know, if you ask Trey, you ask Timmy, you ask, you know, dudes like that, man, I fucked with Buntry and Buntry fucked with me. You know what I mean? Buntry was gonna make sure that I had, when the award shows come, Buntry was gonna call me and ask me did I wanna go. You know what I mean? He was gonna give me tickets, floor seats, or he was gonna give me tickets to the Soul Train Awards, to the BET Awards if I wanted to roll. I had that action with Buntry, you know what I mean? And Buntry had a special relationship because at the time, you know, Heron was gone. Some of the G homies was in and out of jail, you know, so I used to push Buntry on, you the general, homie, you the big homie. You supposed to be setting, you know, I used to be on his helmet, you know, you supposed to be pushing it like this, you supposed to be, but Buntry was like, well, you know, you and Timmy go do it, you know what I mean? But I love Buntry. Buntry was a good homie.
Did you have a relationship with Chin?
Yeah. Me and Big Chin was tight and shit, and me and Big Chin, Big Chin was tight. Me and Big Chin bought and sold cars with each other and shit. You know what I mean? And I love Chin. Chin was cool as a motherfucker.
Now, what was you thinking? Like all these Pirus you just came up with, you know, that they're getting killed.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because I am who I am, and I learned what I learned from the real OGs. You know, I was really bred by all these G's and shit. I got knowledge from all of them. You know what I mean? I done sit down with every single one of them and got some form of knowledge. So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? When the homies got into it, when the Lueders Parks and the mob got into it, you know, I went to the homies in Lueders. I went to the homies in mob. You know what I mean? Listen, homie, I fuck with y'all heavy. You know what I mean? And then people don't be knowing who got their hand mixed in with who on that east side, you know, to make shit happen over here, you know. But I went to both of the homies and told them straight up that Cross Atlantic's finna go over here where the Cross Atlantic's at. You know, I was smart enough to know that wasn't my business. You know what I mean? Because I fucked with all y'all, you know what I mean? Like I said, so our best thing to do Cross Atlantic's, hey, we going back over here to Cross Atlantic. And we ain't taking no sides, you know what I mean? You know, and that's how I kept it, you know, and dudes recognize that. Motherfuckers saw it, they see them, you see the movement, you know what I mean? You know, they saw the movement. You know
a lot of people kind of blame Suge and Death Row, you know, for creating all this conflict. Do you hold Suge accountable for any of this drama that took place?
You know what, I don't hold Suge accountable based on each man got his own mind. You know what I mean? You know, it was easy for the homies to get caught up in that, in the bullshit that, you know, what was going on. You know what I mean? So it just was too many. I believe in my mind, you know, I don't like to speak on those instances too much, but in my mind, it's just too many generals was in a too close of a confinement. You know, you had too many real niggas that was, you know, in a closed confinement, and that caused conflict. You know what I mean? So when the generals and shit got the conflicting with each other, that's why I, you know, told certain homies that, you know, because I didn't stop fucking with none of them. I didn't have no opinion. If you told me something, I don't repeat it. That's, you know what I mean? I did what the fuck I was supposed to do and went over in my motherfucking corner and let the G homies, you know, I couldn't stop them from beefing. You know what I mean? But I motherfucking went over my corner and it did what it did. You know what I mean?
When you look back at it, are you kind of like grateful that you didn't immerse yourself into that scene?
Well, the whole thing about it is my name was always there, you know, one way or the other, because, you know, when motherfuckers get to picking sides, sometimes people will pick sides for you. You know what I mean? So your name be in the mix. If you somebody from over there, you got certain influences and shit like that, or you got a regime that's strong and pushing the line, motherfuckers will add you to their motherfucking regime without you even noticing. You know what I mean? There was a couple incidents where motherfuckers said I chose this side over this side and shit, and you come ask me. You know what I mean? And so my name was always in some shit. Nothing, you know, detrimental or, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it was a side to be picked in the Cross Atlantics. You know, like I say, we went back on our own side, you know what I mean? Even though I'm still right here in Lueders Park, residing, I'm still right here in the hood pushing my line, I'm keeping my distance from the bullshit that's, you know, the homies that's, you know, that's getting into it, you know what I mean?
So when you got the Red Velvet Club going in 1998, 99, were you thinking this is really what I want to do? I want to blow this up, I want to focus on this? What were your business plans at that time?
My business plans at the time was this. Okay, I already got a barbershop. I've been doing these little parties and shit and charging motherfuckers on a smaller note, renting out little halls and shit, charging motherfuckers and making a couple dollars. But it wasn't about the money. It was more or less like the more money I make, the better event that I can give for the homies. So when I opened the Red Velvet, oh, it was rough at first though. You gotta think. All the homies that you talking about from Compton is showing up at this motherfucker. So anybody that got a conflict, they showing up at this motherfucker. You know what I mean? So I had to deal with the G homies bumping heads and, you know, motherfuckers arguing about shit, or the one homie on the dance floor with the homie baby mama and he coming over there tripping. You know, I had to deal with a lot of shit. It wasn't easy. I mean, by far when I first kicked it off. You know, I'm dealing with Compton. You know, so my god brother Face, his uncle was Ted Dozier. They ran a Century Club. So when I talk to, we go to the Century Club when we want to have a real good time, you know what I mean? So Ted was the one that told me, dress your crowd up. You got to start making them, you know what I mean, wear slacks, wear motherfucking hard shoes, you know, get out them Timberlands and tennis shoes and shit like that, no hats, and you know what I mean? You got to think, I got to try to, in my mind, I'm like, because in 98, 99, I'm what, 20, 22, 23?
25.
I'm 25? Okay, I'm 25, and at this time, I'm dealing with the homies, they super gangsters, you know what I mean? So, you know, I got to tell Buntry, he got to put some motherfucking slacks on, or I got to tell motherfucker Heron was gone and shit, but I got to tell the G homies, y'all got to put some hair, you know what I mean? And you know the homies, oh, nigga, I ain't wearing that shit, homie, you know, and I had to just hold on, well, don't come then. It had to get to that, you know what I mean? You know,
So how important is that dress code at a club?
Well, from what I learned coming up in the industry was a motherfucker fight all day in some Timberlands. Don't nobody want to fight with no gator boots on and shit. You know what I mean? You know. So when I started, I told the homies, you know, dress up or don't come. Fuck it. You know what I mean? You know, I had my homie Face and shit. He from the mob. Him and K-Dub. Them niggas had my back with the club shit like 100. You know what I mean? I'm like, homie, invite who you want to invite. You know, they was popular dudes and shit. You know, dudes. Hey, invite who y'all want to invite. I need y'all help on this shit. You know what I mean? So people getting to invite somebody, but then the dress code, I kept having a hammer at it, But then, who's my wife at the time, she say, well, listen, you want motherfuckers to dress up, you need to lead by example. You know what I mean? Because don't forget, I'm a hood nigga too. You know what I mean? So I'm like, she started helping me pick out little slacks, and I don't know if you remember Carlos that had men's land in the Carson Mall and shit, man. I bought 100 suits from Carlos and shit, So now we got the gator boots, we got the slacks. You know, the homie starting, after I told him, just don't come then. You know what I mean? I take the loss. I had 25 people in this motherfucker before I have 100 niggas in Jordans or Timberlands. You know what I mean? So I started doing little performances. Had Rapid Forte and Spice One them come down and Yuck them come down from the Bay. You know what I mean? Shit, I started doing little performances and shit, and that brought the people back, but I also demanded the dress code. So the homies started dressing up. You gotta realize a lot of the gang member homies in Compton, they wasn't used to dressing up for a funeral or something. You know what I mean? So when they got to come into clubs dressed up, nobody felt comfortable. I never forget, my wife took me down on Rodeo. I bought a little Versace shirt, Versace bill, had the jeans and the gator boots. I didn't feel comfortable. But after a while, I'm like, this shit fly. When the bras get to talking about, you know what I mean? You fly as a motherfucker. So I'm an intricate part of the homies, like getting a grown man on. Cause the homies start coming in slacks, and next thing you know, they got brims on and fedoras, and you know what I mean, and feeling themselves, you know what I mean. So we go from Jordans and Timberlands to gator boots and you know gator shoes and 3-piece suits and shit and brims and the red velvet flipped over then, you know what I mean. And we was really having a good time, and this was the Piru spot. You know what I mean? You know, wasn't no Cribs coming. This was the Piru spot. You know, all the West Side girls that had Crib boyfriend, they love coming to this motherfucker because ain't none of their boyfriends gonna be here. But then the Cribs got to come. They call it, FG, what's up? We can't come? Hell yeah, you can come. I'm arguing with homies. Like, homie, check this out. These my partners, homie. You know what I mean? And, but in actuality, man, the Red Velvet, we had so much fun. You know, we had nights that, like I said, I did birthday parties for any and everybody. You know, I never forget though, I let Badass perform. When he had that song Wrong Idea was hot, you know what I mean? And I had Badass, the homies didn't come, you know what I mean? And it was a Crip night that night, you know what I mean? The Crips came. I thought the homies was gonna still show up. Fuck that. No, but none of them showed up. And but shit, it still was packed, you know what I mean? I made a lot of money doing that shit.
All right, so around 2000, you got your club going, but you're asked to provide some narcotics.
Yeah.
For a person that we haven't even mentioned yet.
Right.
But Mob James.
Yeah.
Eventually confronts you and asks you for some dope.
Nah, he didn't confront me, you know what I mean? Because I'd have told him, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? You wasn't a drug dealer, get the fuck out of here. You couldn't get shit from me. You know what I mean? So he never got at me like that personally, you know what I mean? Because I was who I was on the east side and because of my gang ties and my drug ties, when they initially came, this was pretty much in my paperwork, is when they came to investigate Suge's neighborhood of who's supplying the drugs and shit like that, it wasn't Suge. You know what I mean? So eventually, you know, my name was at the forefront of the situation, you know. So the homies going to jail, going to the feds for other shit, you know, they was hitting me, you know, hitting people, say, hey, tell the homie, tell FG that feds asking about him, homie. You know what I mean? But at the same time, At this time, I don't even supply drugs in the neighborhood no more. You know what I mean? I got business, I'm doing other shit, you know what I mean? But I got a call from one of Mob James' close friends, which is a close friend of mine as well, that we sold drugs for years on a lower level. I got a call from him.
We're talking about a brother named Drew. Droshaun Owens.
No doubt.
For those who are looking at the paperwork.
Yeah, so Drew gave me a call and said, yo, hey, F, you know what I mean? I need your help. You know what I mean? And for Drew, man, I bend over backwards for him, you know what I mean? And he told me the situation. I said, I got you. You know what I mean? I said, well, listen, homie, when I come through, just make sure ain't nobody there. You know, I don't got this shit, but I'm gonna go out my way to go get this shit from somebody to help you out, homie. You know what I mean? And make sure ain't nobody there when I get there.
Now, how many times in the past has Drew asked you for some work for Mob James?
Never.
Never.
Drew ain't asked me for no work like that, probably ever. You know what I mean? You know, when Drew was getting work, you know, he was getting a lower level. Drew was a lower level dude, not trying to, good dude, you know, love him to death, but he wasn't on that level, you know what I mean? But at the same time, at some point, everybody graduating the game, you know what I mean?
So he had never asked for 4 ounces before?
He ain't never asked for 4.5 ever.
Did it kind of, did a red flag go in your head at all? But as you just said, you know, maybe he's coming up now.
Yeah, nah, Drew was solid to me, you know what I mean? And like I say, I was on a lower level for many years, you know what I mean? And I fucked with them. Even when I provided for the hood, you know, I fucked with them, you know, we shit for years, you know what I mean? Was solid. So I didn't think nothing of it this time, you know what I mean?
Okay, so this is now June of 2000.
June of 2000.
I believe June 13th.
June 13th, never forget it. Yeah, I won't forget it, yeah.
All right, so June 13th, you pull up at a house on Pine.
Yeah.
And tell me who's there.
Well, the thing about it, when I pull up, like I mentioned, I told the homie, don't have nobody there. You know what I mean? So when I get there, I jump out the truck and shit. And, you know, of course, we always do the look around, you know, but I ain't looking for police. I'm looking for, you making sure there ain't no Crips and nothing coming through here, no homies peeking at what I'm doing. So I motherfucker jump out the truck and slide up in the house. As soon as I jump out the motherfucking truck, Mob James jump out of a gray Stratus. You know what I mean? And so I double look like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So I try to get in the house before Mob James get in there because I don't fuck with dude, you know, and I thought he might have just been stopping by or something, you know. And this dude was a cold informant, homie, for the FBI.
Now, in that gray Stratus, did you notice another guy in the car with Mob James?
I didn't until he asked the dude to get out the car. You know what I mean?
And the guy that gets out the car, for those reading the paperwork, is a Special Agent FBI Wade Lee.
Yeah.
So walk me through what happens this day.
Well, what happened this day is, like I said, I jump out and shit. I jumped out with powder. You know what I mean? So I jump out the car and shit. I'm gonna get a homie powder for him to do his thing. You know what I mean? And when I jump out the truck, Mob James jump out of a gray Stratus. So when he jump out the Stratus and shit, I look, double look, so bam, I get ready to smash in the house so I can really get this shit out of my hand. I didn't even want Mob to know what I'm doing, because at this time, I really don't fuck around like this no more.
Now, at this time, how long have you known Mob James, and what was your relationship with him?
Man, I've been knowing Mob James your whole career. You know what I mean? Mob James was a household name when we was growing up. You know what I mean? This was Buntry and Timmy Rue, big brother. You know what I mean? And even though, like I say, all my career, especially when I got older, I ain't gonna lie, I always respected Buntry and Timmy more, but Mob James is a lot older than me. Mob James might be 8, 9 years older than me. So you gotta think, when I was fucking 11, he was 20, you know? So we didn't have a relationship like that, but I seen him my whole career. I mean, you know, I know who he is, he know who the fuck I am, you know, but we never had a relationship. He didn't hustle, he didn't, you know, we didn't fuck with no bras together, you know what I mean? None of this type of shit, you know what I mean? He just was a Omar Piru, loud, you know what I mean? And like I said, I ain't taking nothing from his gangster, what it was, but I take everything from him right now, though, nigga. You ain't that. You's a rat, you know what I mean?
Okay, so he jumps out this Stratus,
yeah.
And what are you thinking at that time?
Really, I'm thinking I just didn't want him in my business. In 100 years, I wouldn't have never think he was wired for the FBI. So when he jump out the car and shit, and he told to tell his boy jump out the car, you know what I mean? I go up in the house, you know what I mean? So when I get in the house, we in the house, he come in the house with the FBI agent, you know what I mean? And so like I said, I got powder, you know what I mean? I lead the homie the powder like, this what I got, homie, you know what I mean? But they hit me like we need it hard. You know what I mean? I'm like, I ain't got it hard.
Okay, wait. A lot of people don't know what that means. You got powdered cocaine.
Yeah.
And explain what the hard means for those.
They wanted it rock form. You know what I mean? Which rock form carries, at that time, I think 100 times more time than powder. You know what I mean? So in order, if they get you on a rock case, it only took 50 grams of cocaine, rock cocaine, to get you a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence. You know what I mean? So powder, you wasn't gonna get what you was gonna get probation. So they said they needed it hard. You know what I mean? You know, and I said I don't got it hard.
So if it was just a powder case only, you would have got less time, right?
I would. They wouldn't even. They probably wouldn't even file the shit. They probably just stored it away like that was we missed that one. You know, I don't even think they would have. They probably wouldn't even fucked with it.
So this was a plan and a plot all along against you.
Oh, no doubt. You know, and if you read the paperwork, we're sitting right there on the table, and you've been through it, Alex. I was definitely the target, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? And even after the, I told him I didn't need it hard. You know what I mean? But what got me cracked on the conspiracy, because that's what I was charged with, conspiracy to distribute crack cocaine. What got me on the conspiracy is because when I jumped off the porch, get ready to leave, they like, once again, man, we need it hard. I seen some of their little homies across the street. I said, man, I want to tell your little homie to whip it up. They'll whip it up for you. That's what got me 10 years, you know what I mean? So then about a week later, Mom James paged me. So when he paged me, I didn't know who it was. He left a 662. That was mob code on the phone and shit. I called back and shit. And what's up, homie? Who's this? He like, this James. You know what I mean? What's up, homie? He like, man, that work we got from you, man, that shit wasn't all that. You know what I mean? You know, and I'm like, yeah, okay, dude, I be getting all kind of shit. My shit stay fired, man. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But I'm really trying to get him off the phone, but because I don't fuck with you, you know what I mean? But come to find out, you locking me in on this conspiracy with this monitor phone call because you got the feds recording the call. You know, you wanted to lock me in to make sure that, you know what I mean? You know. So
when you pull up to this house on Pine, there's a few people that are present too. The guy, Tonk, whose name is Darville.
Yeah.
Mr. Darville, he's Tonk.
Yeah.
From what I was reading, eventually you guys agree that he's gonna rock it up.
Yeah.
So how did he get pulled into this?
Because basically I said, hey, tell your homie Tonk to whip it up. You know what I mean? That was their little homie, but I knew Tonk knew how to get down. You know what I mean? Tell Tonk to whip it up. You know, but for me, Tonk could have told him no. You know, which I wish he had, and we wouldn't been in the situation. But at the same time, apparently Tonk went and whipped it up for him and gave it back to him. You know what I mean? And that solidified the motherfucking conspiracy. You know what I mean?
And then there's also a woman that's present, known by Bert, Roberta.
Yeah.
That's the sister.
Yeah, I love Bert, homie. Bert was real OG. You know what I mean? And Bert was at the house when the shit went down. You know what I mean? And Bert to me, Bert was solid as they came, you know, to be honest with you know what I mean? But she was there. She, you know, was, you know, in the midst of me talking to Drew, her, and, you know, Mob James doing a little transaction and shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, Bert was there, you know what I mean?
Now, when I was reading this paperwork, they identify Bert and Tonk as unindicted co-conspirators.
Right.
Tell us what that means.
Well, it mean to me that, you know, they was in on a conspiracy, but either they didn't have enough evidence to indict them, or, you know, it's hard for me to speculate. I don't like to speculate, but at the same time, I mean, you know, not Bert, you know, Bert was there at the house, you know, blah, blah, but Tonk, you know, I did have to, like, you know, unindicted, you know what I mean? We was all in on, but I don't want to see none of the homies go to jail. But at the same time, they on my indictment as unindicted co-conspirators. They helped out, but maybe they didn't have enough evidence to convict them or not.
But they did decide to indict Drew.
Yeah, they indicted Drew.
Droshaun Droshaun Owens.
Yeah.
So you and Droshaun become co-defendants.
We become co-defendants.
In this narcotics case.
Mm-hmm, federal.
And this happens June of 2000.
Well, that's when the case happened. That's when the transaction happened.
June 13th.
June 13, 2000.
Then the very next day, I guess the rock, it got cooked up.
It got cooked up, yeah.
So what happens on June 14th, the next day?
Apparently, from the paperwork that I read, it was given to Mob James. You know what I mean? You know, by the homie, he gave it to Mob James and shit. But they wasn't looking for Drew. You know what I mean? So, you know, you know, you had to have a conspiracy in order for me to even be in it. You know what I mean? You know, so apparently Drew gave it to him the next day, and I guess that solidified their case.
Now, in your paperwork, there's FBI surveillance photos, and everyone is identified by name in the photos.
Right.
Except for Mob James.
Right. Oh, he got identity on there, just ain't his name.
It's just, yeah, they call him CW.
Right, that's his other name.
Well, explain what that means.
That's a confidential witness. You know what I mean? And come to find out, the homie, you know, the water wire, you know what I mean? I was a target, you know what I mean? Apparently they paid him a substantial amount of money, whatever that was, to knock me down, you know what I mean? And he took full advantage of it.
Now, why do you think he agreed to take you down in the first place? I mean, this is a major commitment that he decided to make.
You know what, Alex? You know, everybody done heard the story about Mob James. You done seen him on different platforms telling the story about this super gangster that he was, but you know, he also was a super rat. You know what I mean? And if any question, which I probably would never get the true answer, you know what I mean? That would be the only question that I had from homie. I did it solid my whole career. You know what I mean? I fucked with both of your brothers, homie. I fucked with the east side. I help a lot of motherfuckers. We got money together. You know what I mean? You know, I put in work with every hood over here, homie. Why would you do that, homie? Not to mention, fuck me, you put your legacy on the line for the feds. You know what I mean? And to wear wire. You know what I mean? And think this shit will never come out, man, knock it off.
Okay, so this happens in June of 2000, but you don't immediately get arrested.
Nah, no doubt. They don't come get me to November 04. You know what I mean? So by the time they come get me 4.5 years later, you know what I mean? It's you know, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
So you pretty much basically probably forgot about the whole thing.
Man, I forgot about the whole shit.
So what's going on with you in your life during these 4 years?
Man, look, I'm like I said, I got I'm still in the nightclub business. At this time, I got the Monte Cristo going over there in the West LA off Wilshire and Westmoreland. I'm doing that nightclub. I'm doing yacht parties out of Marina Del Rey. You know, of course, I still got the barbershop. Just different investments that I'm trying to grow up in. You know, we done got older now.
And you're maturing.
I'm maturing,
I'm
yeah.
assuming you're not really into the gangbang mentality at this point, but you still cross Atlantic.
Well, the sad part about it is, Alex, I mean, I would be lying to say that, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, I can't do no faking because the streets know. The streets gonna see this interview. Man, I had my hand on everything bumped and on the east side. You know what I mean? And at all times. And yeah, I was maturing, but don't forget that love that I had for him. That when I said I was in love, I meant that. You know what I mean? When I said I was really Piru, I meant that. When I said I did it solid and I kept it 100, I did that. So my hand was never not in the set. You know what I mean? And yeah, I was able to, you know, go on cruises and do this and do that and low ride and do all this extra shit. But I still was at the park. I still was around all the time. I mean, I never went nowhere. You know what I mean? I just did it different. I wasn't selling drugs no more, but I'm still in the set pushing it.
So 2004 rolls around, what's this, November 2004?
It's November.
Explain what happens then.
I get home probably about 5 in the morning and shit, you know what I mean? And, you know, come 6, boom, boom, boom. They hit the door and shit, you know, I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You know.
Wait. Before that happens, talk about Monte Cristo.
Oh, the Monte Cristo was cracking. I got the Monte Cristo cracking, but on this event, I didn't go run to the homies and promote it in the neighborhood no more. Like you said, I did mature on that aspect. So I was going to radio by now. You know what I mean? So I'm at the radio station doing my shit. I'm promoting strictly by radio. So you don't even know this is my spot. You know what I mean? Because I did mature enough for that. I'm trying to get my bread in this shit and create a successful, you know, money-making machine, you know. So I didn't go tell the homies that this was my spot. And so I'm at the Monte Cristo one night, and I see a couple of the little homies from the mob. So I go over there and tell them, what's up, homie? They like, FG, what's happening, homie? You know, you be coming to the spot. I'm like, yeah, I be coming here all the time. You know what I mean? So, man, let me buy y'all a drink and shit. I do this all, you know, I did that anyway, you know what I mean? Let me buy y'all a drink. So we go have a drink and shit, and I'm like, all right, homie, y'all take it easy. But before they can walk off, the fucking security guard walk up to me like, hey, they need you at the door. And the little homie's like, this your spot? You know what I mean? You know, because I wasn't going to tell them. So anyway, about 2 weeks later, you know what I mean? I'm at the club, you know, because I'm watching over shit, just checking shit out, people having a good time. And they say, hey, FG, we need you at the door. Go to the door, see what they talk about. And then they know don't call me to the door for anything. Let people pay their money. They can talk to me in here after they paid their money because, you know, motherfuckers want to get in free all the time. So I get to the door and shit. Get to the door, I never forget, man. And it's Mob James. You know what I mean? And he dressed shitty sharp though. I ain't gonna bullshit you. He dressed so fly and shit. I look him up and down. I say, all right, homie. You know what I mean? And he said, man, FG, I got my people from Vegas and shit with me. We trying to come party with you. Only thing I think back to the two little homies, they must have told this nigga I got the spot. You know, it didn't dawn, nothing else dawned on. So I tell my cashier, I say, let Mob in free, man, and charge his people's half price. You know what I mean? And bullshit you not and shit. When the feds come get me and shit, they take me downtown to the Wilshire building. As soon as I get out the car, 2 agents walked up to me and shit. And the dude say, hey man, you don't remember me? I'm like, nah, they say you let us in the club half price, homie. I was like, fuck.
Okay, so talk about that night when, how many people was Mob James with?
He had 2 people with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you paying attention to what he was doing in the club, or you was just taking care of business?
I was paying attention. Well, I noticed what Mob was doing. He was doing the same shit he do when he come, every time else he come to my shit. He was on the dance floor. He was drinking, he was partying, he was doing this shit. You know what I mean? I never peeped out his folks. That wasn't my, I didn't think twice.
And you weren't even thinking about the drug transaction in 2000.
Man, I didn't even remember it. Yeah, I didn't even remember.
So how much time passes until the feds come knocking on your door from that night at Monte Cristo?
About a month later. Come to find out, they contract the sheriffs to come hit the house because it was kind of far and blah, blah, blah. So when the sheriff bang on the door, people don't come to my house. I don't have friends come to my house. You know how it was back then. You know, I always kept an apartment in Compton, always. But I live where I live, you know what I mean? So when I hear the boom, 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 hold on, that's a police knock. That ain't no, you know, the neighbors and shit. I run downstairs and shit, I open the door. I see it's the sheriffs. They like, man, we got a warrant for your arrest, blah, 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 blah. I'm in my drawers and shit. So they handcuff me and shit, blah, 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 throw on some house shoes. They take me outside the house, but they just stand me outside my door. Sheriffs go in my house, you know, go in my house looking around. So they take me back in the house to put some clothes on. They wanted to make sure wasn't nobody else at the house. They asked me who was there. I say nobody here. But they, you know, they got to make sure. Go through the house, make sure ain't nobody in the house. So they said, look, put some clothes on, man. You know, you under arrest. You know, blah blah blah. So I say, dude say, listen, man, you want us to turn the TV off? I say, nah, man, I'll be out in 12 hours. You know what I mean? Leave it on. You know what I mean? With arrogance, man. You know what I mean? Leave it on, man. You know what I mean? I'll be out in 12 hours. You know what I mean? So we walk outside, and then that's when the 2 FBI agents with the blue jackets come from on the side of the garage. Like, we'll take it from here, fellas. You know what I mean? And I turn around, I'll be like, hey, man, turn that TV off.
But you knew.
I knew I wasn't coming. Yeah, you won't be back today. You know what I mean? And
so basically, the sheriffs came in and arrested you, and then turned you over to the custody
yeah,
of the FBI.
The FBI was there. There just wasn't a whole FBI team. Sheriff did the do work, you know, gaffed me up, you know, blah, blah, blah. Then they hand me over to the FBI. FBI put me in the car, drove me down to the Wilshire building and shit. So at this time, I don't know what the hell I'm in jail for. I know I was a federal dude, but I didn't know what kind of case I was. You know, I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? You know, I was big, Alex, at the time, before it's drugs and shit like that. So I figured, you know, I didn't have no idea where it came from at this moment. None. You know what I mean? Never what I thought it was from Compton, though.
Okay, so they take you down to the federal building on Wilshire, and what do you start to learn once you get down there?
You know, I still was fuzzy. When I get down to the Wilshire building, I see the homie Lip Dog, I see Drew, I see Dollar Bill from Hunters, I see the homie Irby from Mob, and in my mind, I'm saying, I ain't never committed a crime with none of these dudes, ever. You know what I mean? You know, it's all Bompton. You know, a Dollar from the Hunters, but he lived in Bompton. You know what I mean? But so I'm like, I ain't never committed a crime with none of these dudes. When I see Lip, I'm thinking it's some death row shit. When I see the rest of the dudes, I'm like, this ain't no death row shit. You know what I mean? And so I'm still fuzzy. And the feds take you to court the same day. You take the same day they take you to court. So we ramp up, go to court. When I get my indictment, they hand me my indictment. You know, I had a great lawyer throughout my trials and tribulations in Bompton, and we beat a couple motherfuckers. We beat Lynwood sheriffs, we beat Compton sheriffs, we beat Thorns, and State of California versus Frank Thornton. State of California versus Frank Thornton. I was used to that. It was something about it, Alex. This courtroom seemed big. It seemed quiet. It seemed different, like prestige to it and shit. Like.
And the indictment is reading the United States of America versus Frank Thornton.
Man, I don't fuck the AK. Look, would you say AKA on the indictment?
Yeah.
FG.
Yeah.
When you got FG on your indictment, you fucked up. You know what I mean? You know, they didn't just say Frank, you know, and then you done fucked with the United States, the whole United States of America, man. You know what I mean? And it's funny now, you know what I mean? But when I was feeling, at the time I was feeling, it wasn't funny then. You know, I was more or less like, I fucked up. You know, the United States of America. So I'm reading the indictment and like bam, 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 and Drew, because when they told us to stand up, they said, Thornton and Owens, you know, please stand. You know, they hand us our indictment, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at the shit, I'm still fuzzy. And Drew looked at me. He said, Blood, this Mob James. I'm like, Mob James? He like, Blood, this Mob James, homie. You know what I mean? And I get to going through it and checking it out, you know. And then they read us our shit, you know, of course, they, you know, send us to another court date. They read off our indictment, what we charged for, what the situation was on June 13, 2000. You know, committed a motherfucking conspiracy, distribute crack cocaine. And hold on, crack cocaine, you know, but that's what the indictment read. So we get back to the cells and shit, you know what I mean? I'm like, Drew, what's up? He like, Blood, it's Mob James, homie. You know what I mean? I don't trip. My wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but the U.S. probation department, when they interview you before you go to court, you know, I give them my girl number and shit at the time. They call her, you know what I mean, and say, listen, he going to court today at 2 p.m. Shit, my wife leave work, and like I said, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she leave work and come up to the federal court. She heard the state and shit. Mind you, my wife she ain't been in no courtrooms. She got 2 twin brothers. They ain't never committed a crime a day in their life that they had to be answered for. You know what I mean? You know, they was, you know, she ain't never had no dude who involved in the shit that I was involved in. So when they hit her, she manned up. She motherfucking came down to the federal court building. When I got to court at 2 p.m., she was in that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Now, damn, where'd she come from? You know what I mean? So she already know the protocol. Call Frank DiGiacomo. Call my lawyer that I've been having all these years calling me. He, you know, this federal, but calling. You know what I mean? So 2 days later, without even me asking, Frank came to visit me. You know what I mean? He came to visit me on some more legal shit because I was a single man, homeowner. I had shit everywhere. I had to tie up loose ends and shit to, you know what I mean, get shit cracking. And he said, well, listen, man, you know, your wife, what he told me my wife said was, listen, telling ain't an option. You know what I mean? She said, Frank, go down there, go holler at him. Let me tell you, telling ain't an option. So cooperating, it ain't an option. My wife told him this, you know what I mean? You know, she knew the protocol. So when he come down there and told me, first thing he say is, you know who the rat is? Because we had Frank was like family by this time. We had been through the rigmarole, you know what I mean? And Frank said, you know who the rat is? I said, yeah, James McDonald. He said, you got that right. I said, AKA Mob James. He said, oh, no doubt. You know what I mean? I said, listen, Frank, go give me the best deal you can get me. Because I done read the shit. Drew done already told me this Mob James. We ain't going to get past this. Now, I'm a gangster. But Drew wasn't on a federal level. You know what I mean? Drew ain't even been to the state pen at this time. So Drew it's fuzzy to Drew. It's fuzzy to him, you know what I mean? You know, I know the feds got us. We gonna take 5 for jaywalking. We gonna take 10 for motherfucking narcotics. You know what I mean? Drew didn't understand this. I said, Drew, check this out, blood. They come with 10, we taking it, homie. Drew like, what? Drew like, hold on, who? You know what I mean? Nigga, hold on. I ain't even been to the state. I ain't even did 5 yet. I ain't did 3 yet. Piru, Drew, I say, Drew, we gonna take, they come with 10, we gonna take it, homie. This what it is in the feds, homie. You know what I mean? You know, and Drew quickly learned how the feds work.
So you don't take your deal until the following year, 2005.
Well, this is November, so it ain't the following year, it's the following month or two. Yeah. I don't waste no time, Alice. Don't say the following year, say the following month or two. I probably got out of the motherfucking BOP. I probably got out the feds. Look, quick as a motherfucker. I got caught in November. By July of 2005, I was on the yard already. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna play with them.
So what was the, if you remember, how much time did you agree to take? I think, was it 120 months?
Nah, what it actually was, my conspiracy was 10 to life. They came with 10 to life was what the conspiracy was. This case carried 10 to life. So when they came with the 10 to life, it's fucked up because that was my grandmother's first time at court. Yeah, my grandmother came that one day. They was like, well, you know, he looking 10 to life and shit. The case carried 10 to life. My grandmother down there fainted and shit. You know what I mean? You know, not my baby and shit. Yeah, your baby and shit. 10 to life. So I told Drew, they come with 10, we gonna jump on it on me. Drew really hold on. Think I ain't did shit to get 10 motherfucking years. And I felt I felt it. Drew, you was a lower level, you know, drug dealer. You know what I mean? But because you let Mob James suck you into the, you know, because it's information in my paperwork that states that Mob James said, hey, you got this shit from FG, right? Because FG be having that fire. He got sucked into the Mob James shit. So I really believe that the 4.5 years went on because Mob James thought he was gonna get another action at me. He couldn't get action at me and shit. You know what I mean? So he had to get he had to get his friend Drew. They was friends, homie.
So how close? Yeah, I was going to ask you, how close was Mob James and Drew?
They was tight. They was tight to the point to where Mob James' wife car broke down. Drew was gonna go pick up his wife and take her to work, or take Mob James to where he needed to be. They was partners, homie. You know what I mean? I'm sure at some point, you know, fuck me. You know, I keep saying that. I'm sure at some point Mob James was like, damn, I can't take Drew down. But the feds like FG can't go down without Drew. He took his partner down, homie. This is what kind of piece of shit dude was, Alex.
So did you ever, I mean, how's Drew feeling? How much time did Drew have to do?
Drew got the same 10 I got. You know, like I told Drew, blood, we get 10, we get taking it. You know what I mean? I directed Drew through his whole case, but Drew ain't been through no shit like this. Drew ain't even been to the state prison. You know what I mean? So when we get to the federal level, Drew, they come with 10, blood, we taking it. Because for the 10 was winning for me. And you know what I mean?
And when you was going through your discovery, even though Drew told you right away, what was obvious to you that Mob James was working with the FBI?
Shit, the discovery. We got the discovery and started really reading our shit. Drew remembered a little bit more than I remember because I was dealing with so many motherfuckers that, you know, when you come to talk about your life in the penitentiary, you gonna remember fast. You know what I mean? So when Drew really put me up to speed. Nigga, this Mob James, nigga. Back in the day, whoop, 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 you know, blood came and did this, and that, you know, whoopty, whoopty, whoop. I'm like, I started doing my due diligence on what time, what carries. So my ideology was, I dropped off powder. Nigga, I dropped off powder. I'm gonna fight this shit. You know what I mean? I dropped off powder. I left with powder, and I never collected no money. You know what I mean? But my judge came and said, you know, which was ironic, she retired right now. The U.S. attorney retired right now. My judge said, listen, she damn near talked to me like a mama. She said, listen, baby, you got a conspiracy. It ain't about what you did, it's about the conspiracy and about what she laid it out for me, homie. You know what I mean? The judge, you know what I mean? Laid it out for me like, listen, what you did was you got caught on saying that this, that, and the other, so you conspired. You know, it ain't about what you left, you know, because everybody know you left powder. That don't matter. You conspired when you said ask the little homie to whip it up. That was a crack conspiracy. You know what I mean? That locked you into the 10-year mandatory minimum. You know, when I got sentenced, homie, she asked the court, she said, listen, she asked the U.S. attorney and she asked a lawyer. She said, listen, if it's any time I can give him under 120 months, y'all let me know, I'll give it to him right now. You got a 10-year mandatory minimum. It was 50 grams of crack, gonna get you 10 years mandatory minimum. And even though I left powder, I conspired on the crack, and they gave me 10 years. I mean, and only thing about it though, Alex, is this: had I had a prior, They would have gave me an 851 enhancement and gave me the 20 years. They would double me up. That's what the homies is getting 20 years. They do what they doing is you get called a dope case. You had a dope case prior, so we gonna double you. We gonna give you an 851 enhancement, and that make your 10 into 20. I hadn't had a prior before. I never had a dope case in my life. This is my first dope case, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I sold dope my whole career.
So this is going back to this 10-year run. You had a hell of a 10-year run.
Yeah.
When you got arrested, you mentioned seeing Lip Dog and some other dudes that you knew. Was their case somewhat related to your case?
Lip Dog said, no, I'm gonna be honest with you, you know what I mean? Because I don't do no faking. You know what I mean? Ain't no faking with me, Alex. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers that know me know I'm 100%. You know, they know I don't, like I said, I ain't an interview type of dude. You know what I mean? I handle mine in the streets, but on everything. When we got cracked that day, it was me, Dollar Bill, Irby, Drew, Lip. Dollar Bill go in the room. He come right out. 30 seconds. You know, Drew go in the room, he come out 30 seconds. Irby go in the room, he come out 30 seconds. Lip go in the room, he in here for 2 minutes. Now, I already know what they asking in the room is they asking, do you want to see the evidence that's presented upon you? Do you want to know what you're charged with? For me, I said no because this ain't a courtroom. This a backyard, this a back room. I don't do back rooms. I learned that way back when I was motherfucker 18 years old. I don't do back rooms. So Lip say, I want to know what was charged against me. On everything. Probably Lip was back there probably about 2 minutes. Lip the one came on and said, look, Piru Mob James. I looked at Drew and looked at everybody else because I don't fuck with Mob James. You know what I mean? I'm thinking shit, that's his case. But really, that's how we know.
So how much time did he have to do on his case?
Lip got more time than all of us, to be honest with you. Me and Lip had a little problem and shit, you know what I mean? But because Lip stayed in there longer than the rest of us, you know what I mean, to figure out what his case was, you know, I just was denying shit just based on, I ain't in the courtroom, so I ain't gonna talk. The only thing that Feds was asked, do you want to see the evidence that's held against you? I denied it, and everybody else denied it. You know what I mean? So it ain't like I'm saying nothing faulty against the homie Lip. It's just more like Lip wanted to see his evidence, you know what I mean? And Lip the one that came on and said, blood is Mob James. So apparently, whatever case they had against Lip involved Mob James of some sort. But Lip got more time than all of us, homie.
Did you cross paths with him in the feds?
Yeah, I crossed paths with Lip. He came to the Victorville.
Did you share paperwork and stuff like that? Or it's just on the strength of each other's word, right?
I sure feelings, you know what I mean? Because at the same time, you know, my big homie Donald B, you know what I mean? Lunatic Don, it was back in the day, then it came to Donald B. They was first cousins. They daddies was brothers. So Lip used to come to the hood back in the day and used to get shit from the homie and don't pay him and do shit like that. I'd be like, tell my big homie, lived on the same cul-de-sac I lived on. Now fuck Lip, don't let that nigga come, you know what I mean? I knew Lip before, you know what I mean, you know. But at this time, you know, when I got to the feds with Lip, yeah, it was a problem. When he came to where I was at, it was a problem. Because I'm a different person, Alex, on the streets than I am in the pen. You know what I mean? I'm a nigga on the streets having money. Like I say, 500 Benzes, low riders, big trucks, you know, businesses. I'm a different person. So when a person say something small about me, I don't got time for that. When we in the pen, nigga, it's a whole different story. I'm gonna keep it 100, and ain't nobody gonna dispute it. Anybody nigga that was in the pen with me, the state or the feds, nigga, it ain't no discrepancy. I'm gonna push that line. So when I got ran in the Lip in the feds, he came to the yard that I was on. We need to holler, and this my big homie. Lip was a G, you know, all my career. But when you get to the feds, homie, and when you get on the yard with me, fuck that money, fuck anything, nigga. It's about Piru issues. And what Lip found out soon was, you know what I mean, blood, let me holler at you, big homie. I'm gonna put the big homie in front of him, but blood, let me holler at you. You know what I mean? And shit, Lip ended up getting more time than all of us, homie. Lip was solid.
He's home now though, right?
No, Lip home. But it was a little situation, but he home, homie, he good.
Now, once you and Drew got arrested, I'm sure word eventually got back to Bert, got back to Tonk, got back to a lot of.
I made sure it did, Alex.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do no sugarcoat. So I made sure I pushed that shit to the hood instantly.
So what was their reaction, Bert and Tonk specifically?
Well, you got to remember this Mob James though. You know, I mean, like I say, I keep it 100, so I ain't gonna discredit Mob James on his earlier career on being a gangster. So when you come down and say Mob James nigga told on you, it is gonna be a like, hold on, nah, he might got a mistaken. you know, I'm just being 100 with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause dude could have went down as legend status. He could have went down into the, like who people think he is.
So it was hard to convince people that this is what was going on?
It wasn't hard to convince motherfuckers, cause motherfuckers know I'm thorough too. Now, I kept it 100, 1 million my whole career. So you got two motherfuckers that kept it solid up until I come say, nigga, Mob James, nigga, ratted on. Cause Drew was more or less like hurt. Drew was hurt because him and Mob James was friends. Mob James wasn't my friend. That was the homie that I knew. Bunchy was the big homie. You know what I mean? You know, I fucked with his brother. You know what I mean? But Mob James, me and Mob James had a couple issues where we didn't agree. It didn't come to nothing, but we didn't agree. So, but Drew, it was personal with Drew. He hurt Drew, man. He fucked Drew up. It's more or less like me telling on my cousin or something. You know what I mean? You know, and that's because Drew and Mob James had a personal relationship. I sent the paperwork to a reputable homie from the mob. You know what I mean? And they pursued the issue, but not like how I would have pursued the issue. Not like I felt they should have pursued the issue. But you still talking about Mob James. You still talking about a dude who up until now, even myself, until I knew for sure, motherfucker wouldn't accuse him of this. You know what I mean? You know. And so I sent the paperwork to the streets real quick. Streets got the paperwork. The one homie go over there and confront him. You know what I mean? Mob James say, this ain't me. You know what I mean? And see, dudes nowadays, they gonna say this ain't me because their name ain't on the paperwork. Now, the thing about it is this. I didn't go to trial. Or if you listen to any Mob James interviews, he gonna say, I didn't point nobody out or I didn't get on the stand on nobody.
If any nigga can say, Mob James, that's the one, he pointed me out in court or he did, man, you got me f***ed up.
Yeah, because we took deals, dog. We took deals, homie. You know what I mean? We not stupid. I'm not gonna let the feds give me 15 or 17 years trying to prove to you, but I'm gonna be real, Alex. I should have went to trial. I should have went to trial, let him get up on the stand or deny to get up on the stand. Because what's going on now is, which I find out is the feds is promising dudes you'll never have to step in court a day in your life. We gonna offer you a deal. Look, you wear a wire on this dude, or now it's cameras and shit. Well, you gonna wear a camera on this dude. You gonna lock him down into an indictment, and he gonna take a deal. You'll never step foot into a courtroom. Therefore, never be trial transcripts. Trial transcripts gonna put your name on it. You know what I mean? Paperwork I got gonna lease you a CW. Feds done already set you out 2 ways. As soon as I got cracked, the feds say, you don't remember letting us in the club being free? Not to mention, dude, you don't think I know who I did this shit went down with?
Now, when you shared the paperwork and people confronted him and said, it ain't me, the paperwork that's circulating now, there's a photo of him in the pictures that were taken at the house on Pine Street.
Man, let me keep it 100 with you, Alex. Niggas didn't keep it gangster. Back in the day, you sent me a photo, man, I'm gonna kick down doors for you, homie. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep it 100. Any nigga know me. I'm gonna kick down doors for you for this type of shit. You call and tell me any one of my niggas, send me the paperwork, say any one of my niggas did this, homie, we gonna holler at them. You know what I mean? I sent the paperwork. I mean, just be 100, niggas didn't do shit.
And because you're in custody, and we didn't talk about this, but your attorney, DiGiacomo, he passed.
Yeah, he passed, ended up passing away.
Because what's also part of your discovery are audio cassettes.
No doubt.
It's kind of hard when you locked up to get audio cassettes to the streets.
Well, you know, yeah, no doubt, because, you know, it's attorney ethics that some shit that the attorneys are privileged with, they're not supposed to share with you technically. You know what I mean? They swear by oath that, you know, okay, I'm gonna get this, this, and that, but I'm not supposed to share with my client. Even though I'm representing him, I'm not supposed to share him everything that, you know, I know. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's audios. You know what I mean? It's audios, it's photos, it's paperwork. Not to mention, let me tell you, it's FG sitting up here saying that he did. It ain't no nigga that think I'm lying or think I'm playing or think I'm joking about the situation. Everybody know this nigga a rat. You know what I mean? And like I said, I never came forward based on, you know, because we handle our shit in the street. We do man shit, but you mentioned my motherfucking name on some internet shit or some podcast shit or whatever the fuck you did. You should have left me out of it. And we'd have stayed in the street. But you know what I mean? You come out here and you mention my motherfucking name, FG Solid, homie, I'm gonna set you out there. You's a rat. He's a rat.
So because he mentioned your name in that interview, if he didn't mention your name in that interview, you would have just kept life pushing.
I mean, if he would have said, you know, whoever mentioned my name in some other interview mentioned my name and he said, well, that ain't true, I'd have left it alone. But you know, you sit out there, you jumped out there, you said FG this, FG that. Hold on, homie. I'm the same motherfucker that, you know, been around for years. I'm the same motherfucker, homie, who, you know, you sicked your little homeboy on me, but you didn't do it. You know, you standing right next to him, homie. You know what I mean? You ain't who you think you is, and you know I know that. You know.
Everybody you got paperwork on everybody. You this and that. Man, stop talking to me. Be about whatever you talking about. I mean, if you feel you got it, if whack FG, whack whatever, man, y'all want to talk to me? Come holler at me. FG, y'all feel that way? Come on.
You know what I mean?
Okay, let's briefly talk about that, what you just mentioned. In the paperwork, the FBI paperwork, there's a paragraph where it says you got into a fight with another Piru.
I got into a fight with another Piru based on...
At a club.
At a club. Because, you know, this is what I did. I didn't just do Red Velvet and Monte Cristo. I did shit. I did. Like I said, I did the yacht parties. But I used to rent out a spot for one night and do some shit. But this particular night, you know, he sicked his little homeboy on me. And, you know, and I hate to even talk about the story, Alice, because the little homeboy he sicked on is my little homeboy, too. You know, he from the mob, though. But he sicked his little homeboy on me. And the little homie had to go out of rank, you know, listen to his big homie. You know what I mean? And it didn't go well for the little homie. But Mob James, you could have did that yourself if you had a problem with it. You know, I'm keeping 100. Homie Mob James ain't, you know, I know he out there trending or buzzing, but... You know.
So what did you think when you was reading the story about the fight you had in this club in your FBI paperwork?
I was like, oh, they snitching. I thought they regular snitching. You know, they telling everything because I'm also in my paperwork, you know what I mean, which is right there. You know, they was writing my license plates and shit down. They was doing surveillance of me and shit. Motherfuckers was on it.
When you were in that transaction in 2000 back on Pine Street, in your paperwork, it says some guy named Al was riding around on a bike, and he warned all y'all that the police is set up somewhere in the hood.
Right. You know what? This was the thing about it. I come up, like I say, you can go ask, like I say, Stanley Pitts on down about me. I grew up the right way. I really motherfucking fed into the motherfucking, all the shit that the generals told me how this shit supposed to go, I bought in. All my chips, Alice, I slid all my chips in. I'm riding with Pyro. All the shit you don't do, I don't do. It's never no negative shit. I wouldn't be on here with some negative shit. You know, motherfuckers got the audacity to come on these shows and shit and say some frivolous shit. That ain't me. I wouldn't even be here. So what you saying is, so the big homie could have came and said, hey man, it's police around here watching shit. Dude, police been watching shit for years. I'm fucking with G's. So ain't none of these niggas faulty. I'm sure about this. You know, I got 100% sure, homie. Mob James, this nigga solid. In my mom. Even though I don't fuck with Mob. Cause you don't do what I do. You don't do nothing I do. You know what I mean? But I fuck with your brothers, I fuck with you. I know who you is.
Whoever Al was on the bike.
And I know Al, the G homie, the super G.
He picked up on something.
Well, the cold part about it is Al was one of the motherfuckers that they started the Piru. He was just an OG homie. He might have been getting high at the time, but he figured it out. He peeped out on it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you get sentenced to 10 years.
Yeah.
What year do you get released?
2013.
And then how many more years of supervised federal probation do you got to do?
I got 5 years paper. So listen, I get out in 2013. I got 6 months halfway house. During this halfway house, well, I get out the halfway house, I'm on federal paper. So one day, homie, you know what I mean? Cause like I say, you know, I'm still with the shit. Like, nigga done told on me, homie. I can't let that slide. Man, I'm sliding. This actual day, I wasn't even tripping. I'm coming from the Compton swap meet. I slide down Pine, same street that we got cracked on. You know what I mean? So slide down Pine and shit, and the unmarked car put me over. And I'm in my wife's car, tinted windows. You can't know this car. And this white, she didn't even have this car before I left. So they pulled me over on Pine and shit, and dude jumped out the car. I rolled the window down. He say, where you headed? I say, that way. He say, who you looking for? I ain't looking for nobody. He paused a second and shit. He say, FG, right? I say, no, Frank. You know what I mean? He say, yeah, okay. Shake his head like that and say, you have a nice day. I told him, you have a nice day too. I take off, but I'm fucked up on the inside. You know what I mean? Don't think nothing of it. 4 days later, my PO called me. You know what I mean? Basically, get your ass down to my office. You know what I mean? I go down to her office. She like, you know, what was you doing in Compton? You know, I say, well, you know, I was coming from a job interview. And, you know, I threw her some shit. You know what I mean? She said, listen, this is how we gonna play this thing. You banned from LA County, Santa Barbara County, and San Diego County. You get caught in any of them counties, it's violation. So they banned me from LA County, and but she didn't violate me. She didn't, you know, I'm like, but it let me know how serious this shit is still cracking. They say, who you looking for? They know exactly who the fuck I was all these years later. So I'm fresh on paper though, you know what I mean? So I run my 5 years paper out, you know, and Alex only been on paper 2-3 years. So this shit's still fresh to me. So earlier when you said, man, this was 2000, this was 20 years ago, no, it ain't 20 years ago to me. It's 2-3 years to me, man. You know, I got video and shit where came out the halfway house, and I'm gonna show it to you and shit just to give the you know, guys and fellas a dose of what happens when you go to prison and come home after all these years. My wife was pregnant when I went to the feds. My daughter learned how to walk in the visiting room at Victorville, FCI Victorville. You know what I mean? You know, my son was 18 months. You know, these are my baby boys, you know. My daughter was like 8, my sons was 10, you know what I mean? But, so I got a video, Alex, of when my wife came, and I'm gonna show you, my wife came to, when I first got out. This is my first 2-hour pass. I was in Garden Grove at the halfway house. My wife come to pick me up. My kids don't know I'm home yet. One of my oldest sons video recording, you know what I mean? Because she told the kids, Garden Grove halfway house is an apartment building. So I come out the apartment building, she pulled up in front of us so the kids don't know. I got a video, homie, when I opened the door of the back seat. And I see my daughter and my sons and shit, you know what I mean? And my son, his jaw dropped. Because he never, you know, for his recollection is he never seen me outside of a visiting room. My daughter was born while I was in prison, so she never seen me outside of a visiting room. So his jaw dropped, but my daughter screamed, Daddy, you know what I mean? So I got a 2-hour pass. I go jump in the front seat. My daughter say, wait, what? My son break down crying, man, like.
Huh? Here. You wanna? Oh no! You can't be playing with that book. With that juice.
Okay, my straw just fell down. I can see it. That's the right guy. Cause he's in his underpants saving the. I gotta drink it, and the straw comes, bite it. Who's that?
What's up, man?
Wait, what?
Hey, honey. What's up, homie?
What's up?
What you got crack?
Nothing.
What's up, son? Give me a hug.
Hey, ma.
He never seen his daddy outside of a visiting room, man. You know, these are the effects of the homies wearing wearing wires, homie.
I know, and basically you gave 15 years to the feds for 4 ounces. I mean, we ain't talking about.
We ain't talking about 4 birds.
Yeah, we ain't talking about birds.
We ain't talking about 4 birds.
Ounces.
They knocked me down for 4 ounces, man. You know what I mean? Thanks to the homie Mob James.
If you can talk to him one-on-one, what would you ask him?
Well, for one, we wouldn't be talking, but for two, no, just on some real shit. Just say no if I could.
Yeah.
I would look Mob in his eyes. He ain't even Mob no more. Nigga just Rat James. I'ma just be honest with you. Nigga ain't Mob James no more. Nigga Rat James. So if I could look James in his eye and say, homie, I would ask him, homie. I would say, there was a lot of faulty niggas around here. There was a lot of niggas that wasn't thorough, that sold drugs. There was a lot of, niggas that did a lot of crime around this motherfucker that you know about. Homie, why you knock down a thorough nigga, like a real, and I'm not saying this on my behalf. I'm saying go check the Carfax. You knock a real nigga down, homie. You knock a solid nigga down. Nigga help niggas around this motherfucker. Nigga put in work around this motherfucker. What was you so mad at me about, or what was your whole instincts in me about that, you know what I mean? You know, that is it the way Buntry fuck with me? Is it the way that I push my east side? Is it the way that, nigga, you knew you didn't really want to, you had plenty of opportunity, homie, to get down with me, rush me. You could have tried to rob me. You could have tried to bust on me. You could have tried to do a whole lot of gangster shit. But nigga, you went to the feds, homie, and wore a wire on him. This how bad I want this dude out of here. I mean, I just want to know, homie, in your inner thoughts, why, what's the personal? What's the personal? You know what I mean? That would be the real answer, that if I could have a conversation with him, you know what I mean? But why, homie?
But based on what I'm learning from you, you're not the only one he did this to.
He did it to his friend. Drew was his friend. Drew, when his wife caught a flat tire and shit, or Drew, Mob James' car wasn't working, Drew was gonna take his wife to work. Drew was gonna take Mob James to work, or you know what I mean? Drew was his partner. You know what I mean? So sometimes that I say, I sit back and I be like, fuck me. You know what I mean? I had all the flash and the charisma and the you know what I mean? You couldn't out-squab on me. I had all that going for me. Okay, fuck me. What about Drew, homie? This was a friend of yours. You knocked him in the dirt, homie. You know what I mean? And
then you said that Lip Dog also said that he was involved in his case.
Lip Dog said he was in his case and shit, you know what I mean? And but I don't speak up for Lip Dog, Lip Dog a grown man. Lip Dog handled his situation the way he's situated.
Is there another person that is resting that was also?
Hell yeah, my nigga, my G homie, Shitty Mike. He knocked down Shitty Mike, you know what I mean? Shitty Mike was solid. You know what I mean? But this only thing about it was, he knocked me down. Lip and all them case was later. I mean, so I'm not gonna talk for Lip. You know what I mean? But I could talk for me and Shitty Mike from Cross Atlantic. You know what I mean? Shitty told me, FG, nigga come through here, blah, 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 and Shitty get knocked down. You know what I mean?
What year is Shitty's case?
Well, Shitty case, that was the problem. Shitty was already in the feds for some other, Shitty was in the feds for guns. So when Shitty came home from the feds, I was in the feds from the Mob James shit. So I called Shitty and like, nigga, woo, 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 nigga, Mob James. Shitty like, I know more than you think I know. You know what I mean? Shitty come home from the feds on some guns. Shitty was out 2 or 3, he was out probably about a week. And he seen Mob James and tried to holler at him. Mob James sped off. You know what I mean? 2 days later, they came and got Shitty and charged him because Shitty only got 5 for the guns. Mind you, he only did 4 and some change. So the statute of limitations was still active with Shitty case. I don't know if Mob James said, hey man, what's Shitty doing out? He supposed to be down? But soon as Shitty get out, Shitty had went to the feds, got out from doing 5, did about 4 and some change, got out, caught his case, but his case was even before the case that when he caught the guns. Shitty says Mob James, homie. You know what I mean? So Shitty ended up doing total 13. It was like he was out for like 30 days.
You've been off of paper, the federal paper.
2-3 years.
2-3 years.
This shit fresh, Alex.
What's life been like for you now, transitioning? You barely been a free man for the last 2-3 years.
Right.
What have you been doing to adjust to free society?
Well, you know what? This is the thing about it. You know what I mean? I got kids. I got a lot of them. You know what I mean? I got 7 kids, 6 biologically. 1 I raised since he was 4. He 28. That's my son. You know what I mean? So they got problems that without a daddy. They got issues that You know what I mean? That their daddy was gone. You know what I mean? They go from having everything they want in life to, you know what I mean? Hold on, we got to struggle. Everybody struggled when I left. You know what I mean? So I've been making sure that I try to rekindle the trust and respect that I have with my kids. You know what I mean? Trying to get back on my feet. Trying to get, you know, I got a mortgage. I come home to a mortgage and a bunch of kids. It wasn't. I came home to. You shit these bills do. You know what I mean? You know, so I've been
What kind of impact do you think it's had on your kids, you not being around for over a decade?
It hurt my kids more than it hurt me. I went and did that. You ask anybody walk the yard with me, and like I say, I'm not a braggadocious dude, but it is what it is. You ask anybody who walked the yard on me, the Pirus, the Rips, the Hunters. You ask the homies who walked the yard with me, homie, it wasn't no hesitation about what a nigga was on. You know what I mean? I'm gonna push this line, you know what I mean? Then my ideology was, I'm gonna push this line till I get home. And then I'm retired, I'm good after that. You know, I'm gonna go and lay it down. But while I was on the yard, I'm pushing this line. But it hurted my kids. You know, I never forget about a situation, and we laugh all the time and shit. My son, I'm in the hole and shit, my wife come visit me. So my son say, in the hole, when you're in the hole, you only get a visit for an hour, opposed to the 3-4 hours that you get if you're not. I don't even know if it was an hour, probably 45 minutes. So they drive all the way out there to the pen and shit, the motherfucker visit me. I come out in an orange jumpsuit. You know, that's, you in the hole, you know. So my son said, they put you in a little separate room. So my son said at the time, he young, you know, he said, Daddy, why you got on orange? With a CH on it. Why you got on orange? I say, Daddy, in time out. He say, you in time out, huh? I'm like, yeah. He say, well, why you talking then? You know what I mean? And I never forget how my kids rolled with me, man, how they stood tall with me. My daughter learned how to walk in Victorville a visiting room. So my whole thing coming home was trying to get my motherfucking relationship with my kids back in order. You know what I mean? So while I'm getting my kids back in order, don't forget I got 3 grown-ass kids who was left out here in the street, impressionable kids, left in the hood to be raised by the homies like I was because their father was gone. And this is a systematic cycle that goes on. So my kids was motherfucker raised by the homies who telling them bullshit. You know what I mean? And they out here banging and doing they shit. So I got to come home and try to get a grasp of them. And a couple of them, you know, fell into the cracks. You know, they out here banging. They out here claiming the hood. They out here, you know, so that hurt me the most.
So your 3 older kids end up hitting the streets.
He end up hitting the streets, you know what I mean? And they ain't giving up nothing. They ain't no suckers, which come from, which is natural. But don't get me wrong, at some points I wanted somebody to say, fuck them streets. I want to get an education. I seen my daddy go down this road. I don't want to go down this road. I'm going to go get an education. Give me a degree. Give me a good job. And them streets, like, you know, they like, hold on. I could sit here and say, yeah, you know, the streets this, the big homies influence, but no. Y'all made a conscious decision when y'all got old enough to go back to the hood, you know, but it was really out of the anger that stinking and told on my daddy, man, and you know what I mean, you know, but my younger set, it's a whole different environment. They focused on college, they focused on school, they gangs that's dumb shit to them. You know what I mean? And I champion them with it. You know what I mean?
Now, when you came home, were you able to rekindle your relationship with Drew?
Yeah, me and Drew was on the yard though, at a couple pens. We was at Victorville and Lompoc. And Drew know how I carry mine. I think at the end of the day, Drew know that it ain't nothing but because you know the streets and the pen is a different situation. You know what I mean? When I was on the streets, you know what I mean. You know, of course, you know, motherfuckers know who you are and this. Like when you get on that yard, it's a whole different situation, and I turns up. You know what I mean? Hold on, homie. You know what I mean? I'm gonna represent geopolitics as what it is. Nigga, ain't no fucking up, ain't no stealing, ain't no whole lot of shit, or you gonna get fucked up. So when the homies got on the yard, Lip was on the yard with me. You know what I mean? And them dudes know, homie, and motherfucker ain't giving up nothing. Niggas gonna go by the rules, homie, or it's gonna be an issue. You know what I mean? So all that cool shit I was with the homies on the streets. No, we got to the yard, homie. We in motherfucking home on this yard, homie. We got the Pirus, we got the Crips, we got the Serranos, you got all kind of motherfuckers that's against us. You gonna carry it what it's supposed to be carried. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest with you. At the end of the day, I don't got Drew's number, but I could probably call him right now. But I think Drew at the end of the day say, homie, I respect that nigga FG. Even when we disagree, I respect dude. like 100%, because he never did no faking. He never came from the back door. He never motherfucking shied away from shit. FG kept it 100 what it was. If you fucked up, homie, I'm gonna tell you fucked up. You know what I mean? You know, and I'm gonna teach you everything you need to learn about walking these motherfucking yards and navigating this motherfucking system. But Drew got told on just like I got told on by the same homie. You know what I mean? And Drew feel more fucked up than I fucked up because that was his homeboy. Me and Mob James wasn't homeboys. We knew each other, but they was friends. You know what I mean?
And thus far, Drew has stayed quiet, right?
Nah, Drew ain't quiet. No. Nah, Drew ain't quiet. Drew just, you know, he up in age now. You know what I mean? You know, Drew them gotta be, you know, 55 or some shit. You know, you gotta think about it. They up in age. Drew ain't quiet, but Drew got the feelings of, fuck these niggas, they rats. You know what I mean? The ones who is, Drew feel the exact same way. I fuck these niggas, they rats. You know what I mean? He feel the same way about motherfucking Mob James.
I want to thank you, FG, for telling this incredible story. I'm expecting you might get a little pushback, but at the end of the day, I think the evidence speaks for itself.
Well, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, Alex. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wouldn't be on here if dude didn't mention my name for one. That's for one, first and foremost. You know what I mean? You know, I ain't gonna let a rat motherfucker jump out there and start telling his story like he's some, you know, kingpin motherfucker and use a rat. You know, F.B.I. informant, you know, you been one. That's for one. For two, you know what I mean? The thing about when I start, you know, because I didn't start watching these platforms and a lot of this shit until Mob James started speaking on them motherfucker. So when I start seeing these platforms, even with interviews that you do, interviews that other people do, you know what I mean? These people out here is giving stories about they gang ties, they gang relationships, shit like that. You know, of course they might be past, they might be this, that, or the other, but they don't understand that the youth is watching this shit too though, Alex. You know what I mean? The youth is watching this shit too, and I don't promote this shit to the youth. I didn't get on here to prove no point. I didn't got on here to prove no. I came to tell my story because this rat nigga mentioned my name, and I'm gonna let you know, dude, come on, I'm gonna shut you down, he's a rat. But for the kids that's watching, for the youth that's watching, you know what I mean? All of us who is ex-gang members need to just keep it 100 with them. Tell these kids the truth. We can talk shit about, you know, to the grown folks all we want, or people who did the shit they did all they want. But to these youth, just keep it 100. And then I know this ain't about that, but my story is because we sitting up here talking about some gangster shit and what was and what wasn't. I at least got to tell the youth. Somebody got to tell them. You know, I was head coach at the Compton youth football team and a vice president of the organization, the Compton Titans, and I love fucking with these youth. I like getting their life on track. You know, I like trying to keep them out of gangs. So the thing about it is, even though I sit up here and like I say, you know, I could speak on this, you know, because it's fucked up because it's due to rat. But I also want to tell the youth, man, don't follow this shit.
No doubt.
Straight up.
I think that's a huge message here because your freedom was taken away from you. You were separated from your family.
No doubt.
And now you're living with a felony conviction, which we don't really talk about, but the challenges that poses for you in the real world.
Yeah, no doubt. It poses a challenge for you, but you know, Alice, you know, on another level, you know, you got a lot of dudes out here to be talking about, I can't get a job as a felon, I can't do this as a felon. That's some bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be 100 with you. If you go apply yourself, you'll be surprised at the shit that you can accomplish as a felon. You know what I mean? I done been to the state and the feds. I've been banging all my motherfucking life. You know what I mean? You know, and kept it 100. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I work a regular job. You know what I mean? You could be successful after this shit. That's an excuse for motherfuckers to sit up here and say, I can't get a job, or, you know, living with their baby mamas and shit. And, you know, I don't respect none of that shit. You know, living off abroad and doing all that shit. I don't respect none of that shit.
Well, I think it takes a certain type of personality, and from the beginning, you were a go-getter.
I guess you may be right, but I had to be. I lost everything I had. When you get to talk about my, you know, I lost my brother, my mother. I lost my whole family in 3 years. Get shot, go to the pen, come home now, life is laying. What's happening? You don't got a choice. You're back up against the wall. Now, I could have started smoking dope. I could have started doing, you know, ready to commit suicide. I could have did a whole lot of shit, but that just wasn't in me. You know what I mean? I appreciate you having me, and at the end of the day, you know, like I say, you know, I just want you to emphasize that, you know what I mean? I know that ain't what you about. You're a journalist, and you about what you are and shit, but at the end of the motherfucking day, you know, I'm really about you know, setting out these motherfuckers that's, we jumped over the counter at a bank, homie, you know, don't tell, homie. You know what I mean? We made an oath to motherfucking keep it 100 in the street. You know what I mean? Mob James wasn't a motherfucking, he didn't work at motherfucking Walmart and shit, was just a regular citizen and shit who somebody did something to, so he told the police. Then you was a gangster. And you on these platforms talking all this gangster shit, you know, because I can't help it. You know what I mean? He on these platforms talking all this super gangster shit, and you get notoriety from motherfuckers who got your back. You know what I mean? You know, I won't respect him until his stories come on and straight up say, listen, my name is Mob James. I'm a informant I was a foreman for the FBI, and here's my story about when I was a gangster.